Chapter 4662. How is that possible? This place is so desolate, no one would be willing to. Aocn wasn't lying. He felt the desolate ocean shake violently. Especially in a certain place, a strong mysterious energy appeared. He swallowed the rest of his words and looked at Tangua in shock. Tangua and the other two quickly jumped to the surface of the sea. Aocn stared dumbfoundedly at the distant place filled with clouds and mist. Unexpectedly, a mountain rose from the ground. The mysterious aura just now came from it. It's probably going to be lively. Aocn felt the energy inside. It seemed that because of the sudden appearance of the mountain, the desolate ocean became more lively. How did you know? Aocn stared at Tangua. Is my life really in danger? Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? Yes. Aocn didn't doubt it this time. Tangua was the smartest and most talented of the second generation. She was only 40 years old and was not weaker than them. Someone once said that Tangua might be able to revive the saint's light in the future. As long as one person became a saint, then the rest would benefit. They might even find the path to becoming a saint. Hence, many people in the celestial world thought highly of Tangua. Ever since the calamity, no one had become a saint. There were only 8 immortal emperors. Let's go in first. I don't know what treasures there are inside. Let's take advantage of the fact that the others haven't arrived yet. Aocn said, let's get some good stuff. Although Aocn didn't like shiny things, he still had the characteristics of the dragon race, which was that he wouldn't miss out on good things, even though he was dressed in rags. Tangua also wanted to take a look. Unexpectedly, Jiang Zilin stopped them. There's no need to go. There's nothing good inside. Tangua and Aocn both looked at Jiang Zilin. Especially Aocn. He thought to himself, why are you boasting so shamelessly? But thinking about how he couldn't detect this person before, as long as he didn't see Jiang Zilin with his naked eye, he wouldn't be able to detect him. From this, it could be seen that this was an expert. He was many times stronger than him. Therefore, Aocn was very tactful and did not say anything rude. Jiang Zilin, what's inside? Tangua couldn't get close, so she couldn't see what was inside the mountain. Jiang Zilin said, this is not a mystic realm with good treasures. There are murderous intents everywhere. He glanced at Aocn. There are also many murderous intents targeted at the Dragon Clan. Tangua's expression turned serious. That's right. That person wanted to scheme against the luck of the second-generation immortal. The array formation inside was targeted at Aocn. Aocn's death was most likely related to Jiang Zilin. Furthermore, there is a treasure inside, but it should have been specially prepared for someone. Jiang Zilin transmitted his voice. Yunichen. In Tangua's memory, there were many people who had entered this mystic realm. In the end, less than 10% of them had made it out alive. Can you destroy this place? Tangua instantly made a decision. If they killed Yunichen just like that, and that person was still hiding behind, it would be considered alerting the enemy. The other party might not appear again for many years. Destroy that place and take out that treasure. Let's see what it is. Aocn felt that Tangua must be joking. That mystic realm was not simple. Even if an immortal emperor came, it would take a lot of effort to destroy it. Unexpectedly, Jiang Zilin said in a relaxed tone, that's very simple. Do you really want to destroy it? Destroy it. That person was still recuperating. That person would not suspect anything if the mystic realm was destroyed and robbed. He would not guess that someone had already found out about his conspiracy. Okay, Jiang Zilin replied. Peek. Chapter 4663. Aocn was shocked. Why didn't he know that there was such a powerful person in the immortal realm? What kind of person was this? He was so perverted. Speaking of which, as expected of someone by Tangua's side, Jiang Zilin didn't do anything. He just flew to the mountain and smashed it with his fist. His actions were very rough. Seeing the mountain being smashed into smithereens, Ao Xian took 2 steps back. The corner of his mouth twitched. Where did this ferocious person come from? If those fists landed on his body, he felt that he would fall apart. Ao Xian was completely convinced that Tanguo was here to save him. When Jiang Zilin smashed the mountain, he also saw the danger inside. If he didn't know and walked in, he might not be able to come out alive. What kind of pervert would make such a harmful thing? Jiang Zilin's actions were very fast. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the mountain was razed to the ground. At this moment, a box appeared in his hand. This is the only treasure inside? Ao Xian asked. He wasn't interested in this and looked at the box with fear. Could it be a trap? Be careful. Why don't we destroy it? Our lives are more important. Jiang Zilin opened the box. Instantly, a black jade stone appeared in front of the 3 of them. Soul Stone. Tanguo recognized the Soul Stone. Ao Xian naturally recognized it as well. As expected, as expected. I knew it wasn't a good treasure. It's actually a Soul Stone. What was a Soul Stone? It was used to capture a person's soul. Tanguo seemed to understand. In her memory, Ao Xian was killed and everyone thought that Lei Yu had escaped. No one had found him. If Lei Yu's body was destroyed and his soul was placed in the Soul Stone, who could find him? Give it to me. Tanguo said. I have a use for it. Ao Xian glared. This thing is not good. No one can escape from a soul capture. I'm not going to abuse it. Ao Xian was relieved. That's right. You can't do anything bad. It's fine if you take it. This thing can't be destroyed. It's better for you to take it. Jiang Zilin gave the Soul Stone to Tanguo. He seemed to understand what Tanguo wanted to do with it. If he had flesh, the corners of his lips would have curled up. Tanguo did think of capturing Yunichen's soul in the Soul Stone. This Soul Stone could not only capture souls, but also create all kinds of illusions that would cause the souls inside to suffer. Then, the fate of Yunichen and Wei Xian would be resolved. Ao Xian. A thunderous voice came from afar, exploding in their ears like a thunderclap. The voice, arrived. In the blink of an eye, the owner of the voice had already appeared in front of them. Ao Xian, did you swallow the treasure? The man grabbed Ao Xian and stared at him. There was a mysterious aura here. Why did it suddenly disappear? You've been sleeping here every day. Did you swallow the treasures? Ao Xian said, No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Who else in the desolate sea besides you? Lei Yu didn't believe it. Dragon Peak. Chapter 46-64. Are there really no treasures? Lei Yu came to the place where the Mystic Realm Mountain appeared. In the end, he believed Ao Xian and Tanguo's words. You said that there's danger everywhere. What's going on? Ao Xian said, maybe it was set up by a pervert from the ancient times. He wants to take our lives. That's possible. Lei Yu didn't pursue the matter. Instead, his gaze moved between Tanguo and Jiang Zilin. In the end, he said, has there been a change? Tanguo, since the crisis in the desolate sea had been resolved, Tanguo decided to go to the next place. She planned to meet all the second-generation immortals who were on good terms with her. She wanted to remind them a little, so that they wouldn't be tricked by Uni-Chen and suffer misfortune. Hearing that Tang Guo was leaving, the two of them were a little reluctant. Why was she leaving so soon after meeting? Wasn't she going to stay for a few drinks? I'm already at the Immortal Monarch realm. Ao Xian, Lei Yu, they couldn't compare. They were still quite far from the Immortal Monarch realm. They didn't expect that Tang Guo had already advanced. This was a pervert specially arranged by the heavens to beat them. Stop fooling around. Advance to the Immortal Monarch realm as soon as possible. When I came here, I met Lin Chu. He's already planning to go into seclusion. He won't come out until he reaches the Immortal Monarch realm. Ao Xian and Lei Yu's expressions were extremely ugly. Even the one who liked to fool around was so serious. Lin Chu was much weaker than them. If Lin Chu surpassed them, would they still have any face left? Let's go into seclusion. Ao Xian said. Lei Yu nodded. I wanted to go out for a stroll. Let's go back and cultivate. If that brat Lin Chu surpasses us, we'll be beaten by my father. The two of them said goodbye to Tang Guo and returned home to cultivate. It was safer to cultivate in seclusion at home. Who knew what would happen outside? When Tang Guo headed to the next place, she sent a message to Lin Chu. Lei Yu and Ao Xian are already in seclusion. They plan to break through to the Immortal Monarch realm in one go. Lin Chu planned to cultivate properly, but he did not plan to go into seclusion. After receiving Tang Guo's message, his expression changed. Fuck, those two guys are not human. They're actually cultivating in seclusion without saying anything. Are they trying to leave me far behind and then laugh at me? No, I need to go into seclusion. Lin Chu energetically rushed to find the Dan Emperor, shouting loudly, Father, Father, I want to go into seclusion. The dandy was currently researching medicinal pills when he saw Lin Chu suddenly barge in and even yell about going into seclusion. He was a little confused. Why do you want to go into seclusion all of a sudden? Lin Chu did not betray Tang Guo, saying that she had cultivated to the Immortal Monarch realm. One of the reasons was that if his father found out, he would definitely be scolded. It wasn't a big deal, so he didn't want to talk about it. Ao Xian and Lei Yu, those two brats, secretly went into seclusion. How despicable. Pill Emperor suddenly understood. Then go into seclusion. Can you go into seclusion? I thought you couldn't calm down. I can. Lin Chu said fiercely. No matter what, I'm still father's son. I can't always be the last one. Pill Emperor lovingly patted Lin Chu's head. Don't force it. You're different from them. Follow your heart and refine more pills. Father, I know. Lin Chu was touched. His father was still the best. Then I'll go into seclusion. Okay. Pill Emperor thought for a while, then sent a message to Dragon Emperor and Lightning Emperor. After knowing that Ao Xian and Lei Yu were really in seclusion, the three of them felt relieved. They felt that their children had grown up. Lin Chu and the other two were already in seclusion. Tang Guo and Jiang Zilin had also left the desolate sea. Peak. Chapter 46-65. Half a day after they left, Uni-Chen came to the desolate sea, which was where the mystic realm mountain had appeared. Many people had come to this place. Uni-Chen was surrounded by many people. They looked at the desolate sea and mumbled, "It's clearly here. Why isn't it here? Did I sense wrongly? It might have disappeared again. It's very possible. Whether it's the mystic realm or something else, the desolate sea is still the desolate sea. Let's go. There's nothing here." People left one after another. Uni-Chen sat on the boat and refused to leave. His instincts told him that there was something here. He waited for 3 days. No other immortals came to the desolate sea. He was the only one on the calm sea. He ordered his 2 followers to wait on the shore. The desolate sea was still the barren desolate sea. In the end, Chen still left. He felt a little indignant. It was as if he had lost something that was destined to be his. This feeling made him very uncomfortable, but he couldn't do anything about it. Where are we going next? Jiang Zilin already knew that Tang Guo was sabotaging that person's plan. There were 2 reasons why they couldn't kill Chen. First, they couldn't alert the enemy. Second, they had to do with the chains of eternal fate. Once Chen died, this world would fold and start all over again. Wei Xian was just a puny immortal. How could a curse like this affect so many people and even be effective? It was most likely that Wei Xian had some fortuitous encounter and obtained something. It might even be related to ancient rules and mystic arts. These things, whether it was Tang Guo or Jiang Zilin, they had no way to calculate. Let's find Shui Yang. Tang Guo replied. Chen was quite good at flirting with women. Shui Yang would encounter an accident this time. Chen would accidentally save her. Although Tang Guo and Chen were engaged, Emperor Qing had his own considerations and did not really announce it to the immortal world. Everyone only knew about it through the grapevine. This was because the Lotus Arch didn't want to push Chen to the celestial world in case something unexpected happened in the future. In his opinion, only when Chen had reached the high immortal realm would he be qualified to appear before others and talk about marrying his daughter. As a result, many people had heard of Chen but did not know what he looked like. Shui Yang was secretly in love with Chen because he accidentally saved her. Even after she found out about the relationship between Chen and the original owner, she didn't want to let go. The original owner had the original owner's pride, Shui Yang had Shui Yang's pride. Since then, the 2 of them didn't have a good relationship and often fought. The original owner's luck was too strong, and Shui Yang's luck was stolen by Chen, so she was suppressed very badly. After losing to the original owner, she was attacked on the way home and died. Because of this, the Water Emperor and her father became enemies. The peace of the celestial world was slowly destroyed. During the original owner and Chen's training, they were plotted against by the Water Emperor many times. The Water Emperor was clear that Chen was the real problem. Each time he dealt with Chen, he tried to kill him. Towards the original owner, he had always held back and didn't kill her. This wasn't an outcome that Tang Guo was willing to see. Because of Chen, she had to lose such a friend and ally. That was not worth it. Everyone had their own reasons for that matter. There was nothing much to say. She just had to stop this from happening from the source. Peak. Chapter 46-66. If she saved Shui Yang in advance, their relationship could be improved to the next level. Tang Guo sent a message to Shui Yang, intending to ask where she was. At this time, Shui Yang shouldn't be in danger. As expected, not long after, Shui Yang sent a message back, Jinzhou, there's something I need here. Tang Guo, I've been bored here recently, so I came to play with you. Shui Yang, come, I won't leave Jinzhou for a while. Speaking of which, didn't you find a gigolo? Are you bored? When Tang Guo saw this message, her face turned ugly. How did the entire celestial world know that she found a pretty boy? Jiang Zilin was also speechless. What pretty boy? That Chen didn't even count. At most, he was just a scammer. Tang Guo didn't reply to Shui Yang's message. She didn't want to discuss why she fell for a pretty boy. One day, she was going to clear her name. System, I don't think you can clear your name. They'll only think that host was blind and was tricked by a pretty boy. It was better for him not to say this out loud. It was more dangerous. It was already the third day since Tangguo arrived in Jinzhou. Every city had a teleportation array, so it was very convenient to travel. Tangguo didn't need to teleport and Jiang Zilin didn't mention it. To him, it was the same. When she arrived in Jinzhou, Tangguo sent another message to Shuiyang. She didn't expect to hear that Shuiyang had already gone to that place. That place was a dangerous place. She didn't know what Shuiyang was looking for. Shuiyang, it should be over in 3 to 5 days. Wait for me outside. This place is more dangerous. Tangguo still went in with Jiang Zilin. This place was indeed dangerous. Every flower, grass, insect, and bird could be in danger. What was even more terrifying was that there were illusions here. Help me see where Shuiyang is. Go to her side as soon as possible in case anything happens. Tangguo said to Jiang Zilin. She even took out Shuiyang's portrait. This is Shuiyang. Jiang Zilin stared at the portrait for a moment, then covered the entire danger zone with his divine sense. After a while, he said, she's currently trapped in an illusion. I'll take you there. Jiang Zilin hugged Tangguo and disappeared from where he was. In the next moment, he appeared in Shuiyang's illusion. However, what greeted her was Shuiyang's blade. Jiang Zilin quickly dodged with Tangguo. Facing Shuiyang's cold and clear eyes, Tangguo shouted, Shuiyang. Don't hide. Come out. Shuiyang said as she slashed towards Tangguo's position. He must have been blinded by the illusion. Tangguo began to examine the illusion. The more she looked, the more silent she became. It was man-made again. Jiang Zilin walked in front of Shuiyang and formed 2 hand seals. The ferocious aura on Shuiyang's body disappeared. When she saw Tangguo, she was surprised for a moment and then quickly said, this place is very strange. Let's get out of here quickly. As for why Tangguo was so fast, she forgot to ask. If Tangguo didn't come here in time, she might have been seriously injured. There was nothing here that she needed. Everything was just a mistake in the information. Really, she was a bit careless this time. Shuiyang also noticed Jiang Zilin beside Tangguo. She was very curious. Was this the pretty boy that Tangguo kept? Looking at his figure and seeing that he didn't fear danger and followed Tangguo, he didn't seem bad. Tangguo looked at Shuiyang's eyes and was speechless. Peak. Chapter 46-67. The 3 of them walked back the way they came, but they didn't expect to meet Yuni-chen, who just happened to come in. When Tangguo saw Yuni-chen, she first shouted, Brother Chen, are you here to train? Tangguo quickly walked in front of Yuni-chen. Yuni-chen looked at Tangguo's smiling face and didn't know what to say for a moment. Brother Chen, your cultivation seems to have improved a lot recently. Indeed, training is useful. Father didn't lie to me. I won't disturb you. You will definitely be able to cultivate quickly. After hearing Tangguo's words, Yuni-chen didn't know what to say. Fortunately, he wasn't good with words and Tangguo usually didn't mind. He just needed to respond. He didn't know why, but this training wasn't going well. Although his cultivation still improved quickly, he always felt that something was wrong. It was as if things weren't supposed to be like this. Xiaoguo, why are you here? Yuni-chen finally asked the question he wanted to ask. He didn't suspect anything and just asked casually. Tangguo replied, I'm here to play with Shuiyang. Tangguo pointed at Shuiyang's position. This is Shuiyang, my good friend. Shuiyang nodded faintly and looked at Yuni-chen from head to toe. She couldn't help but frown. Was this the gigolo that Tangguo kept? Why was he so much worse than the one standing beside her? No. A phrase suddenly appeared in Shui Yang's mind, two timing. She pursed her lips and smiled. So it was like this. He really knew how to play. Openly two timing. It seemed that Unichen didn't know Jiang Zilin, but Jiang Zilin knew Unichen. Amazing. He could still stay by Tang Guo's side with peace of mind even after knowing. This method was really amazing. Tang Guo felt the change in Shui Yang's eyes. She didn't feel good. Miss Shui. Unichen greeted. Shui Yang replied faintly. Shui Yang's cold and aloof attitude, especially her playful gaze, made him feel uncomfortable. These second-generation experts of the immortal world looked down on cultivators who ascended from the lower realm. Ever since he came to the immortal world, he had encountered countless supercilious looks. Just like when he was in the Yun family, he was insulted and bullied. This was the darkest time of his life. He swore that if he had the chance, he would definitely make those people regret it. He did it. As for the people of the immortal realm who looked down on him, there would come a day when it was too late for regrets and they would look up to him, Unichen. Unichen's mind was filled with thoughts, but his expression was calm. Brother Ichen, you can continue with your training. I won't disturb you and delay your cultivation. Tang Guo glanced at the dangerous area behind her and kindly reminded, there are some dangers inside, you must be careful. She saw that Unichen didn't bring the two people with him. He must have asked them to wait somewhere. Unichen was like this. When he went to do something, he still didn't like people from the family Tang to follow him. The main reason was that he didn't want those two people to know that he had obtained treasures. To put it bluntly, he was afraid that the good things would be coveted by the family Tang. Heh, what a petty person. The family Tang was controlled by Emperor Qing. How could he lack something? No matter how precious it was, Emperor Qing wouldn't snatch something from someone who might become his son-in-law. Tang Guo smiled as she watched Unichen walk into the danger zone. If she guessed correctly, Unichen didn't go to the exploration zone after saving Shui Yang. This time, he had missed Shui Yang. He would definitely go to the exploration zone. He wouldn't die, but he would most likely lose a lot. It was good to suffer a little. Peak. Chapter 46-68. Tang Guo, you're amazing. Both of them are so obedient. Tang Guo hit Shui Yang, what nonsense are you thinking? AI, who doesn't know that you've taken a fancy to a pretty boy and even brought him home? I thought there was only one. I didn't expect you to take a fancy to two and even want them both. That Jiang Zilin doesn't object to you hooking up with other pretty boys. Amazing, I admire you. How did you do it? Teach me. Tang Guo changed the topic. Did you know that Lin Chu, Ao Xian, and Lei Yu are in closed-door cultivation? The three of them. Shui Yang's expression became serious. Why are they suddenly in closed-door cultivation? They're preparing to break through to the immortal monarch realm. They're planning to secretly surprise everyone. If I didn't pass by and bump into them, I wouldn't know about this. System, the host's lying skills are getting better and better. Jiang Zilin was already used to Tang Guo tricking these immortal second generations. These people are really sinister. They're secretly in closed-door cultivation. It's obvious that they want to leave us far behind when they appear again. Shui Yang said fiercely, I have to inform Ling Qin about this. Tang Guo, let's go into closed-door cultivation too. Your talent is so good, you'll definitely be able to reach the immortal monarch realm easily. They'll be envious to death. Tang Guo said embarrassedly, I'm already at the immortal monarch realm. Shui Yang. This news is really bad. Annoying. So you're the one. Shui Yang was furious, you woman, you actually hit it so deeply. I just accidentally broke through. You know that my talent is good and I can cultivate very quickly. I didn't hide it on purpose. Otherwise, why would I tell you the truth? Wu Yo said. Shui Yang thought about it and agreed. Tang Guo's talent was good to begin with. It wasn't strange for her to cultivate to the immortal monarch realm. Once I inform Ling Qin, we'll go into closed-door cultivation together. Don't let those guys surpass us. Ling Qin, Emperor Han's sister, had a very good relationship with Shui Yang. They could be considered friends who would die for each other. In the original plot, the original owner and Shui Yang parted on bad terms. Han Di and Ling Qin stood on the Water Di side and turned against Qing Di. In the original plot, Ling Qin planned to kill Yuni Chen and injured Yuni Chen several times. Unfortunately, she was unable to kill Yuni Chen. Now that Shui Yang was fine, and she had asked Ling Qin to go into seclusion with her, there was no more conflict between her and Yuni Chen. Shui Yang was going into seclusion while Tang Guo had already decided to meet the last person, the Buddha Thearka's successor, Ming Xiu. How did Ming Xiu get into a conflict with Yuni Chen? That was because Ming Xiu had discovered that Yuni Chen had killed a lot of people. He was also entangled in karma. He could also tell that Yuni Chen's remnant soul was incomplete. If he persisted, it wouldn't be good for him or the celestial world. It might even bring about a disaster. Furthermore, Ming Xiu had pointed out that Yuni Chen's remnant soul was merely being restrained by someone. He hoped that Yuni Chen could break free from his original body and transcend as soon as possible. This was the Buddha Thearka's successor. He had a different kind of talent. Even if the heavens were hiding something, he still managed to discover some clues. Yuni Chen naturally didn't believe it, but Yuni Chen's original body did. Ming Xiu's actions weren't hidden from others. His persuasion of Yuni Chen was quickly discovered by the people behind the scenes. Thus, a genius Buddha, the arch of a generation, was killed by someone. I didn't expect that there would be such a talented successor among the Buddhists. Jiang Zilin shook his head after hearing Tang Guo's words. He was taught to be a little rigid. That's why he got into trouble. He's still young after all. Why? Do you plan to teach him? Tang Guo could tell what Jiang Zilin was thinking. Peak. Chapter 46-69. Other than being a little stubborn, Ming Xiu is not bad. His talent and comprehension are indeed strong. It's both good and bad to be able to see through some things under the cover of heaven's secrets. Where is he? Jiang Zilin asked. It was obvious that he was more interested in Ming Xiu. I don't know. I'll send him a message. He'll reply when he sees it. It was good to be a second-generation immortal. She had the contact information of all the second-generation immortals, so it was convenient for her to send messages. The person who had schemed against her had been seriously injured by Jiang Zilin. According to Jiang Zilin, it would be very difficult for him to recover. Everything had been arranged by him in advance, so he was most likely very assured. She wondered if he would break down when he appeared and found out what had happened outside. After parting ways with Tang Guo, Yuni Chen, who had gone to the danger zone, had already fallen into the illusion that Shui Yang had experienced before. He was killing people inside. Yuni Chen was a little delirious. Although he had thought that the people who had suddenly appeared would not appear again, they were too realistic. Everyone from the Yun family had appeared in front of him. This time, his eyes were bloodshot. He had thought that it would be over after killing everyone from the Yun family. He had never expected Wei Xian's figure to appear in front of him again. Yuni Chen looked and was indeed stunned. Facing the gentle Wei Xian, Yuni Chen's killing intent had lessened. When he felt pain on his body, he instantly became clear-headed. Seeing Wei Xian's cold gaze, he laughed loudly. How can you be her? Break. She wouldn't do this to me, Yuni Chen said with a laugh. He was very confident as he shattered Wei Xian in front of him with his sword. The illusion was broken, and the surroundings returned to normal. Yuni Chen's body was bright red. He was heavily injured. He staggered as he ran and hurriedly found a safe place to heal. Wei Xian's figure suddenly appeared in his mind. In the end, he muttered, "How can it be Wei Xian? Even if it's Wei Xian, so what? If he could kill Wei Xian once, he could kill Wei Xian a second time." A mere Wei Xian could not shake his Dao heart. Tang Guo did not know what had happened to Yuni Chen. Even if she knew, she would scold him and say that he deserved it. Ming Xiao hadn't replied to her letter yet. She didn't know where Ming Xiao was, so she could only take Jiang Zilin to wander around. This could also be considered as letting Jiang Zilin understand the current scale of the immortal world. "When will you be able to regrow your flesh and blood?" Tang Guo asked. "I'm afraid it'll take over 100 years, said Jiang Zilin. It was not easy to regrow the flesh of a saint. In fact, it was possible for it to grow out suddenly, but such a body would not be able to support his strength. Sooner or later, it would collapse. Unless it was necessary, Jiang Zilin would not do such a meaningless thing. 100 years. It's not bad." In the original plot, Yuni Chen and Wei Xian would meet again about 300 years later. Now that she had helped Wei Xian's cultivation path should be slightly smoother. Even if it wasn't smooth, at least he could preserve his life and raise his cultivation much faster. Then, he should be able to come to the immortal world earlier. Go. In the wilderness, a handsome bald monk released an injured bird. Then, he walked out of the barren mountain. Wherever he passed, a ripple appeared. The barren mountain behind him also disappeared instantly because of the ripple. When the bald monk was about to fly away, he exclaimed and took out a message talisman. Chapter 4670. Ming Xiao looked at the content in the message amulet, deep in thought. "Looking for me?" Ming Xiao found it strange. A few years ago, he heard some rumors that Tang Guo had taken a liking to a handsome young man. She liked him so much that she even brought him home. He didn't care about his family background and just listened to the rumors. He didn't expect that Tang Guo would take the initiative to ask him to meet her. He didn't know why. Ming Xiao replied to the message, asking where Tang Guo was and that he would go to find her. As soon as he found out, he hurried on his way. It took him a few days to arrive at Tang Guo's current location. "This is the handsome young man you like." Tang Guo didn't expect that Ming Xiao's first sentence would be this. Actually, Ming Xiao didn't care who this person was. However, he couldn't see through this person. Not only could he not see through him, but he couldn't even sense his existence. This shocked him. His master said that he had a pair of eyes that could see things that many people couldn't. Even if his master was right in front of him, he could see some things. However, he couldn't see through this masked and cloaked man at all. He only knew that he was unfathomable. He wasn't afraid because this man exuded a peaceful aura. It was as if he was one with heaven and earth. He could be sure that this man's existence wouldn't be dangerous. "This is Jiang Zilin," Tang Guo introduced. "There's no handsome young man." "What handsome young man?" He just changed the way he addressed her. He was still saying that she was keeping a gigolo. This Ming Xiao wasn't a proper monk. He was jackals of the same tribe as those people. Everyone in the immortal world knows that you have taken a fancy to a handsome young man called Yuni Chen. You even brought him home. You two are also engaged. Ming Xiao said stubbornly. His handsome face was serious. The whole immortal world knows. You still want to hide it. Jiang Zilin felt uncomfortable. Chen was so shameless. He actually spread the news of him and Tangua's engagement to the whole immortal world. He was indeed a wolf. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, he couldn't explain himself. He felt very aggrieved. What made him even more speechless was that these people all recognized him as Chen. Humiliation. Why are you looking for me? Ming Xiu's face was full of suspicion. Could it be that you have some bad idea and want me to give you an excuse? Tangua's reputation in this world was not very good. She was either keeping a gigolo or being suspected of using other people as an excuse. Speaking of which, when the original owner went out to play in the past, she often used her friends as an excuse, saying that her friends asked her out to play. No, I didn't use you as an excuse. Tangua said, my father allowed me to come out this time. I didn't lie to him. It was obvious that she didn't believe him. She said this every time. Tangua felt extremely wronged. However, the original owner had done many such things. In fact, it was because they had a good relationship that no one minded. It was precisely because of this that she didn't mind helping them resolve the crisis one by one so that they wouldn't be implicated. These people were all heaven's proud sons, their temperaments and moral character were all good. The immortal emperors had nurtured them very well. Jiang Zilin also said that many of them were the descendants of saints. The saints had sacrificed themselves for this world, so he definitely wanted to protect their descendants. Tanguo also understood why these people would be schemed against. It was because they were the descendants of saints. Their luck was definitely incomparable to that of ordinary people. They also had the merit of saints saving the world. If not for that scheme, even if they didn't become saints, they wouldn't be any weaker than the 8 great immortal emperors. Their immortal future was limitless. Chapter 46-71. I won't fuss over this. Tell me, why are you looking for me? Ming Xiu's clear eyes landed on Tanguo. Suddenly, he exclaimed in surprise. He couldn't see through her. Why couldn't he see through her? He couldn't see through Jiang Zilin. He guessed that the other party must be some powerful figure. Since Tanguo couldn't see through him, he didn't understand. They were good friends and would often meet. They even went out to train together in the past. Didn't these friends all watch her grow up? What's wrong? Tanguo noticed Ming Xiu's situation. She knew that the other party must have seen through something. His insight was indeed extraordinary. There was a good saying, the more you know, the faster you die. It was used to describe people like Ming Xiu. Did you have a fortuitous encounter? Ming Xiu said bluntly. I can't see through you. I've cultivated to the immortal monarch realm, Tanguo said. Ming Xiu shook his head. I'm not talking about your cultivation. No, wait, you've advanced to the immortal monarch realm. Why isn't there any news of this in the immortal world? It's not a big deal. My father said that immortals have to keep a low profile. Tanguo randomly made up an excuse. It would be strange if Ming Xiu believed her. He didn't probe further. I can't see through your fate. It's hazy, but there's a glimmer of light in the hazy. I don't know what's going on. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Ming Xiu paused. It's a good thing. I can't sense any evil intentions. Then there's no problem. Since Ming Xiu could see this, then Chen's fate must have been changed, right? Why did you come to find me? Ming Xiu asked again. The change in Tangua's body was a good thing. He didn't care too much as long as it wasn't a bad thing. Tangua, how long until you reach the immortal monarch realm? I don't know. Let nature take its course. Ming Xiu was different from others. If Tanguo said that others were in seclusion, it wouldn't affect Ming Xiu. She thought of another way. Ming Xiao should be very interested. Speaking of which, she had more fate with Buddhist cultivators. She had once been friends with many Buddhist cultivators and had received gifts from their Buddhist scriptures. In order to prevent Ming Xiao from contacting Yunichen midway and being suspected by the other party and causing trouble, she planned to give Ming Xiao a copy of the Buddhist scriptures stored in the system space so that he could study the scriptures in isolation. Previously, when I was training, I obtained some things. These things are useless to me. I remembered that you had helped me a lot, so I brought them back. I wanted to ask if you were interested. A smile appeared on Ming Xiao's face. What is it? Ming Xiao didn't find it strange that they would exchange gifts with each other. Tang Guo had gone through a lot of trouble to deliver it to him, so he was a little touched. Sometimes, being a scapegoat was voluntary. Tang Guo first took out a Buddhist scripture and handed it to Ming Xiao. After Ming Xiao flipped it open, he didn't move his eyes away. Tang Guo and Jiang Zilin were also very patient. They had been waiting by the side. By the time Ming Xiao finished reading, the sky was already dark. Wonderful. Ming Xiao closed the book. Thank you very much. Tang Guo took out a storage ring. It's too early to thank me. There's a pile here. Take it back and study it slowly. Ming Xiao took the storage ring and looked inside. He was shocked. No matter how calm his heart was, he still couldn't control himself when he saw so many Buddhist scriptures. There are so many. Did you rob some Buddhist cultivator's territory? No, they're all legitimate. Don't worry. Ming Xiao said seriously, I can't refuse these things. Ming Xiao will remember this. We're all friends. Why are you saying that? Tang Guo said, I think you can't keep me here. I have to go too. The two sides said goodbye. Tang Guo thought for a while. She had nothing to do for the time being, so she took Jiang Zilin to wander around. Because Jiang Zilin said that he wanted to choose a place to place the inheritance of becoming a saint in the future, Tang Guo took him around. The Peak. Chapter 4672. Have you chosen a good place? After spending a full 10 years, Tang Guo took Jiang Zilin to almost tour the entire immortal world. The places that they didn't go were not suitable for the inheritance. Places that were too dangerous were not in line with Jiang Zilin's original intention. Why don't we go to the Desolate Sea? Jiang Zilin said, I plan to go to the Desolate Sea to create a mystic realm for the inheritance in the future. The mortal world can't be moved for the time being. I'm afraid that it will arouse the suspicion of the person behind this. The experts of the immortal world usually didn't show up, so Tang Guo couldn't ask them one by one and guess which expert was behind this. For now, they could only wait. Then you make the inheritance. I'll go cultivate. We'll talk about it after I break through to the Immortal Emperor realm. The Immortal Monarch realm is too dangerous. Thus, the two of them went to the Desolate Sea. Before going, Tang Guo met Yunichen again. At this time, Yunichen had already cultivated to the true immortal realm. It had to be said that he was really fast. However, without Tang Guo's help, Yunichen was still lagging behind the plot. The time between the true immortal realm and the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm could be decades or centuries. There was no fixed number. Every time Yunichen met Tang Guo would praise him, saying that her father was right and that it was lucky that she didn't disturb him. Yunichen always felt that it was strange, but he couldn't say it because Tang Guo's eyes were too sincere. It was so sincere that he didn't think that she was lying. Brother Ichen, then I'll go first. I hope that the next time I see you, you'll be a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Yunichen was a little happy when he heard this. It took him 30 years to reach the true immortal realm from the mystic immortal realm. Ordinary immortals might not be able to improve so much even after hundreds of years. With regards to this, he was quite proud of himself. Okay. Yuni-chen didn't ask Tanghua to stay because he didn't know how to. It was as if he was used to Tanghua, who didn't disturb him and was very close to him. This was also good, as it would prevent him from being constantly disturbed. What he didn't know was that although Tanghua's words sounded nice, she was actually very stingy. After bidding farewell to Yuni-chen, Tanghua and Jiang Zilin set off for the desolate sea. Along the way, Jiang Zilin was silent. He was not as talkative as before. Jiang Zilin, why aren't you saying anything? Jiang Zilin came back to his senses. I don't want to talk about it. The whole immortal world knew that Yuni-chen and Tanghua were engaged. Yuni-chen's cultivation was so fast that many people said that they were a good match. Maybe in a few hundred years, the two of them would get married. He knew it was impossible, but he was still furious. He had been single for 10,000 years. Was he going to continue being single? That group of old men still hadn't made it clear. If he met his destined wife, would it be a success or failure? Who provoked you? Jiang Zili naturally wouldn't be angry with Tanghua. She was his destined wife. How can people in the immortal world be so talkative? They're casually talking about things that haven't happened yet. Aren't they afraid that their tongues will rot? Tanghua almost laughed out loud. What did they say? In short, they're casually talking about things that haven't turned into reality yet, Jiang Zilin said. This is too outrageous. If too many people talk about it, many people will think that it's the truth. It's not good for the reputation. System, host, you're jealous. Hurry up and coax her. Look at how sulky she was. She was too naive. No one can control what others say. There's a saying that goes, walk your own path. Let others talk. As for the truth, it will be revealed one day. Peak. Chapter 46-73. She also felt that those people were too much. They were all saying that she was keeping a gigolo. Jiang Zilin's mood improved. That's true. Why should I bother with those people? Let's go back to the desolate sea and study the mystic realms. Make the trials harder and teach those gossipy people a lesson. It's best if we can create a few illusion realms. As long as there are gossipy people in the illusion realms, we can kick them out. In this regard, Tanghua could only mourn for those people. After returning to the desolate sea, Jiang Zilin studied the mystic realms. Tanghua was cultivating not far away from him. For this, Jiang Zilin specially created a place for her to cultivate. With his array formation as a cover, no one would find out. The immortal world suddenly quietened down. The immortal emperors were all shocked. Why were all their children in seclusion? One day, the mystic Tharch and the other 7 immortal emperors sent a message to invite them to a gathering. The immortal emperors had their own gathering places. In less than 5 minutes, all the immortal emperors arrived at a pavilion on a tall mountain. Mystic Tharch, why did you invite us to a gathering? Did something big happen? The Lotus Tharch asked as he found his seat and sat down. The others arrived one after another. The Alchemy Tharch, who was wearing a plain robe, was covered in golden light. His entire body was filled with treasures. The Thunder Tharch, who was burly and had a fierce look in his eyes, seemed to be surrounded by lightning. The Buddha Tharch, who was wearing a monk's robe and had a calm expression, also showed a benevolent smile. The Water Tharch and the Han Tharch were both women. Both of them were very beautiful. The Water Tharch looked very gentle, while the Han Tharch looked colder. As for the Mystic Tharch, he had black hair and a blue robe. He was very mysterious and was best at array formations. The mystic the arch heard everyone's question and said, "Nothing much. I have been in seclusion for many years. I just came out to see an old friend." "I see." The lotus the arch did not think much about it. "That's true. Among us, you are the only one who is in seclusion most of the time. We can't even make an appointment." "What? Did you comprehend something after coming out this time?" The mystic the arch shook his head in distress. "No. After the calamity, there was nothing left. It's difficult. If there were some remnants, it would not be so tragic." The others heard the mystic Thearcha's words. Their ancestors were all sages. After the calamity, all the sages. Not only had the saints declined, but their other ancestors had also been severely injured. After the great tribulation of heaven and earth, the immortal world was rebuilt. No one knew how many years it took to recover to its current state. Those injured seniors were seriously injured. Because they were unable to cross the threshold of becoming a saint, they all died. Immortals were not immortal. The fall of the saints also told them that the saints were not immortal. Don't be sad. We're all immortal emperors and have a lifespan of hundreds of thousands of years. I don't believe that we can't comprehend the wonders of becoming a saint. Water Emperor said, unwilling to admit defeat. As long as one of us becomes a saint, the immortal world will be lucky. Once one of them became a saint, they could set up a platform and preach the Tao. Wouldn't the entire immortal realm benefit? Even if we can't, don't we still have our successor? The Dragon Emperor chuckled and said, they are the successors that we have carefully cultivated. In the future, even if we can't take charge of the overall situation, they can. That's right. That unruly lad from my family is also cultivating in seclusion now. He even said that he wouldn't come out until he reached the immortal Lord realm. This time, I've seen his determination. He wasn't just talking about it. Speaking of this, Pill Emperor was very gratified. My son, Aocien, is also in seclusion. The Dragon Emperor was also gratified. Aocien has always been lazy. I've never seen him so hardworking. It seems like the dragon race is going to prosper. Besides the Azure Emperor and the Mystic the Arch, the others praised their sons, daughters, and sisters. After praising them, they all looked at the Azure Emperor and the Mystic the Arch. Azure Emperor, I heard that your daughter took a liking to a pretty boy and even brought him home. The Thunder Emperor asked him politely. He laughed and said, that's why I said that talent is a good thing. However, being lazy and extravagant is also useless. Peak. Chapter 46-74. Lotus the Arch, hee, the Lotus Thearchas chuckled stunned all the immortal emperors. Looking at the Lotus Thearchas' strange smile, they all had a bad feeling. Indeed, the Lotus Thearchas' next words shocked them. Guo has already broken through to the immortal Lord realm. It was just before your kids went into seclusion. What lazy, extravagant. My Guo is just tired from cultivating. What's wrong with coming out to play? The Lotus the Arch said proudly. So what if she brought a pretty boy home? As long as Guo is satisfied. All the immortal emperors fell silent. Infuriating, too infuriating. They were just feeling proud, but the Lotus the Arch slapped them in the face. They were about to die from anger. The Lotus the Arch said leisurely, it's good to cultivate diligently. However, if your cultivation doesn't improve for a long time, you can only say that you're rotten wood. Lotus the Arch, you're too much. The Lightning the Arch couldn't help but shout. Who are you calling rotten wood? The Lotus the Arch said lightly, I'm not talking about anyone. I'm talking about those who can't improve even if they keep cultivating. Isn't that right? I'm not talking about you or your kids, right? All the immortal emperors gritted their teeth but couldn't rebut. Knowing that they couldn't win against the Lotus Tharch as he had a talented daughter, all the immortal emperors turned their attention to the Mystic Tharch. The Mystic Tharch suddenly had a bad feeling. However, he still smiled and looked at everyone. Everyone, why are you looking at me? Aren't we talking about the kids and girls in seclusion? Old Xian. The Dragon Tharch sat beside the Mystic Tharch and placed one hand on his shoulder. He laughed and said, I heard that you were looking for a successor many years ago. A few hundred years have passed. Have you found a successor yet? Well, not yet. The Mystic Tharch heaved a sigh of relief. It depends on fate. Let's look for one soon. If we can't find one in the immortal world, we'll look for one in the next world. The Alchemy Tharch said, otherwise, when our kids and girls have all reached the immortal Lord realm and your successor hasn't appeared, it won't be a problem of falling behind. The Mystic Tharch said seriously, you're right. It's time to find a successor. Otherwise, I don't know who to pass my legacy to. That's right. The Thunder Emperor said with satisfaction, then I hope you find a satisfactory successor soon. You have to hurry, or you won't be able to make it. The Mystic Tharch was indignant as he said, the successor that I have chosen is naturally a prodigy. He will definitely be able to catch up. The immortal emperors gathered for a day and then dispersed. Before they left, they heard from the Mystic Tharch that he was going out for a stroll. His purpose was to find the person who could inherit his legacy. The immortal emperors didn't really care about this matter. Just as the Mystic Tharch said, it wasn't that easy to find a suitable successor. 20 years later, all the immortal emperors received news from the Mystic Tharch that he had found a suitable successor and had brought him back to nurture. All the immortal emperors sent their blessings one after another. They were all very curious as to what kind of successor the Mystic Tharch had found. However, after the Mystic Tharch found his successor, he told the other immortal emperors that he was going to go into seclusion to comprehend and would not interfere with external affairs for the time being. As for who his successor was, none of the immortal emperors knew, so they didn't ask. Since they were all in the immortal world, they would find out sooner or later. The immortal world returned to its peaceful state. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, 80 years had passed. Jiang Zilin, I'm going to break through. On this day, Tang Guo opened her eyes and said to Jiang Zilin, who was beside her. Jiang Zilin was still wearing his cloak and mask. Hearing that Tang Guo was going to break through, his eyes were filled with joy. Go ahead and break through. I'll protect you. Chapter 46-75. That's not what I want to talk about. After the discussion, Jiang Zilin brought Tang Guo to a desolate and dangerous place in the celestial world to break through. Jiang Zilin set up a strong array. Even if an immortal emperor came, he wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. Tang Guo's breakthrough took 3 whole years. On that day, the celestial world shook. All the celestial chi in the celestial world rushed towards a certain place. With such a huge commotion, other than those in seclusion, everyone in the celestial world knew about it. They all followed the direction of the celestial chi. What do you all think? Green Emperor glanced at the immortal emperors. He didn't see Mystic Emperor and asked, Mystic Emperor didn't come. He's most likely still in seclusion. Lightning Emperor said, this scene looks like one breaking through. Let's go take a look. I'm a little excited. I wonder who's breaking through. Seems like this celestial world won't have 8 immortal emperors from now on. It will have 9. Pill Emperor said happily, let's go. We'll go take a look. At the same time, we'll help protect him in case anything goes wrong. To them, it was a good thing for the celestial world to have more immortal emperors. With their abilities, they wouldn't be able to figure out a way to become a saint. With more fresh blood, they might be able to figure it out one day. The immortal emperors rushed over. First, they had to pass through a desolate and dangerous place. To them, these dangers weren't much. What stopped them was a strong array. The standard of this array is really high. Dragon Emperor frowned. Our understanding of arrays isn't as good as Mystic Emperor's. If Mystic Emperor is here, we can still comprehend it. Is the person breaking through inside also an array expert? We might have to wait for him to come out before we know. Green Emperor said, let's wait here and see who he is. Water Emperor was curious. I've never heard of an immortal lord being so proficient in arrays. Has this person always been here? I don't know about that. The Buddha the Arch had a smile on his face. His countenance was kind, and his entire body was peaceful. He looked up into the clear sky and saw that a rainbow had actually appeared. However, this person's appearance should be a great kindness. The immortal emperors were really curious. They all waited outside nervously. The others from the immortal world were already outside the danger zone. Many of them hesitated for a moment before walking in. The immortal chi was still pouring into Tangua's body. This situation lasted for 3 days before it slowly stopped. At this moment, many people had already rushed to the side of the immortal emperors. Looking at the formation before them, if the immortal emperors didn't move, they didn't dare to move either. Just now, they heard from a few immortal emperors that someone was about to advance to the immortal emperor stage. In the current immortal world, advancing to the immortal emperor realm was a huge matter. Everyone who came wanted to see who the immortal emperor was, so they didn't leave. Another day passed. Tangua stopped absorbing immortal energy. She had finally advanced from the immortal monarch realm to the immortal emperor realm. In that instant, the withered grass around her seemed to have been rejuvenated. Fresh shoots quickly sprouted and grew crazily, even blossoming. Vertex. Chapter 4676. Not only did it happen around her, but it also happened outside the array formation. The immortal emperors were stunned when they saw this. Even when they broke through to the immortal emperor realm, such a miraculous phenomenon did not happen. The Buddha the Arch looked at the green leaves around him and the blooming flowers. He clasped his hands together and said, "Spring has come to life. Everyone, this person might be able to bring the immortal world an opportunity to become a sage." The Buddha Thearka's words made everyone happy. They had only heard that when one became a sage, there would be flowers everywhere. If the person inside was like this when he became an immortal emperor, then he should be able to become a sage soon, right? The mystic the Arch did not come. I wonder if he will regret it when he comes out. The Han the Arch said, "This is a rare sight." The Lotus the Arch was already setting up the array formation. Even if it is not a sage, it can still benefit the people here. Sit down and meditate. He said this to the immortal emperors, but also to the people around him. Hearing the Lotus Thearka's words, everyone came to a realization and hurriedly followed. In front of the immortal emperors, no one dared to be rash. They all sat down and meditated. Tangua, who was inside, had already opened her eyes. She heard Jiang Zilin tell her about the situation outside. "Let's go," Tangua said to Jiang Zilin. "When they react, they won't be able to leave." Jiang Zilin said confidently, "My array formation is not easy to break. However, it is time to go." He grabbed Tangua's waist and brought her back to the desolate sea. The immortals outside did not know about this at all. After returning to the desolate sea, Jiang Zilin invited Tangua to visit the mystic realm that he had spent 100 years creating. When the time was right, he could activate the mystic realm and give the people of the immortal world all kinds of tests. In the past 100 years, Jiang Zilin often went out. Even if he did not show up, the rumors of him keeping a gigolo had always been around. The main reason was that Uni-Chen had always been active in the immortal world. Whenever they saw him, they would think of this matter. The words of those from the immortal realm made him very unhappy. They said that Uni-Chen and Tang Guo were becoming more and more compatible. This was because Uni-Chen had already advanced to the golden immortal realm many years ago and was envied by countless people in the immortal world. Many people were saying that Uni-Chen would only need less than 100 years to advance to the immortal monarch realm. Now, very few people looked down on Uni-Chen. He had used his strength to prove his ability. It was only a matter of time before he advanced to the high immortal realm, so no one dared to provoke him. Jiang Zilin was very angry about the discussion of the people of the immortal world. Therefore, when he came back, he made the mystic realm even more tricky. Who asked these people to like to talk about it? When do you plan to activate the secret realm? Tang Guo asked. Jiang Zilin, wait a little longer. I plan to go out and take a look. Tang Guo hit her cultivation level so that she was still in the immortal monarch realm. I wonder if Wei Xian has reached the immortal world. You'll know when you go out and ask around. Tang Guo suddenly remembered that she had been in seclusion for 100 years. Didn't Jiang Zilin's flesh and blood grow back in 100 years? So she asked, has your flesh and blood grown back? It has already grown back. Jiang Zilin did not hide it, but he had no intention of taking off his mask. He felt that he was too good-looking. If others saw him, they would definitely stare at him. He did not like being stared at. Moreover, the appearance of a saint could easily charm one's mind and cause a lot of trouble. Moreover, the eyes of a saint could also affect people if they were looked at. Peak. Chapter 46-77. Even if he tried his best to restrain his aura, ordinary immortals would still be dazzled when they saw him. Can I see? Tang Guo asked. System, are you afraid that I'm not good-looking? Jiang Zilin, I don't usually let people see. What do I have to do to let you see? Jiang Zilin, I think you should let your Dao partner see it first. You're not my Dao partner. He had been brooding about this for a long time. They weren't Dao partners, and Tang Guo and Uni-Chen were still in an ambiguous relationship. If he let her see it, he wouldn't be able to get a proper status, so he didn't want to let her see it. Tang Guo, Jiang Zilin, who did you learn this from? I'm telling the truth. It wasn't easy for me to grow flesh, so I naturally have to let my Dao partner see it first. Tang Guo, what if I insist on seeing it? Then no one else will be willing to be my Dao partner. You still want someone else to be your Dao partner? Jiang Zilin, I don't have such thoughts. That's what you said just now. Jiang Zilin, I take back what I said. If you want to see it, you have to take responsibility. Jiang Zilin, you're a sage, yet you're shameless. Sages are still humans, and they need Dao partners. I've been single for 10,000 years, and I don't want to live alone anymore. Let's go, I'll find where Wei Xian is, and see how Uni-Chen is doing. Tang Guo jumped onto the sea first, and Jiang Zilin followed closely behind. He quickly asked, you're not going to see it? Not anymore. Why not? Tang Guo turned around. I don't want to see it. Jiang Zilin landed beside her. You can see it, you don't have to take responsibility. In any case, it was impossible for her to be with Uni-Chen. Perhaps she would get lost in his looks after seeing what he looked like. Jiang Zilin took off his mask and walked in front of Tang Guo. Come and see. Tang Guo raised her head and her gaze fell on Jiang Zilin's face. She was indeed stunned for a moment. He was indeed worthy of being called a saint. There was no one in the immortal world who was more good-looking than him. Don't look at it for too long. It's easy to get lost, Jiang Zilin reminded her. When you're done, I'll put on the mask and leave. If ordinary people in the immortal world see it, it will easily cause chaos. System, dear host, this guy is really narcissistic. Tangua said, what he said is true. Ordinary immortals will easily lose themselves when they see his face, which will affect their cultivation. The system was surprised. Is that true? Tangua said, of course it's true. Jiang Zilin is a saint. If he were in the mortal world, he could scare a mortal with just one look. Don't you think he's powerful? The system was really shocked. It was actually so powerful. Okay, put it on. Tangua pursed her lips and smiled. After I deal with Uni-Chen, I'll give you a status. Jiang Zilin's hand that was holding the mask paused, then he quickly put it on. His face that was covered was filled with joy. I'll help you see where Wei Xian is. Jiang Zilin's divine sense started to scan the immortal world. The people in the immortal world didn't notice at all. Not long later, he retracted his divine sense. I found Wei Xian. Her child has already been born. It looks to be 7 years old. Wei Xian should have gotten some opportunities. She's currently in the mystic immortal realm. Jiang Zilin continued, do you want to go see her? Where is she? Jiang Zilin paused and said, she's at the place where you broke through. She's comprehending there with the others. The phenomenon that appeared when you advanced to the immortal emperor realm was very different. Many immortals who rushed over benefited greatly and broke through quite a bit. Wei Xian is currently comprehending with that child. Chapter 46-78. That child's luck is not bad. He should be born in the celestial world. Children born in the celestial world are at least earth immortals. With my help, he is now in the heaven immortal realm. Jiang Zilin said, yes, there are too many people. They are in different places. Uni-Chen did not notice Wei Xian. Whether they can meet this time depends on how deep their ill-fated relationship is. Tangua heard this and came up with a plan. Let's meet soon. I can't wait. Let's go to that place. That dangerous place actually had a name, Soul-Crying Forest. However, it was not a forest. On the surface, it looked a bit desolate. It was said that at night, there would always be a wailing sound. It was very scary. There was another legend about Soul-Crying Forest. This land was once an ancient battlefield. Many immortals died there. Therefore, there were many hidden dangers. Jiang Zilin brought Tangua to a corner and then walked into the crowd. She was the Lotus Thearka's daughter, so she walked directly in. Many immortals were comprehending around. Many people saw her, but no one stopped her from walking in. Jiang Zilin told her where Uni-Chen was, so she walked in the direction of Uni-Chen. As expected, not long after, she saw Uni-Chen's figure. Uni-Chen had already woken up. The mysteries of advancing to the Celestial Emperor had mostly disappeared. Many immortals were awake. They did not leave because they wanted to see who had become the 9th Celestial Emperor of the Celestial World. If they left without seeing who it was, they would definitely have regrets. Brother Ichen. Uni-Chen sat cross-legged and waited. When he heard Tangua's voice, he was stunned. He quickly reacted and looked at Tangua. Tangua walked over with a smile and stood up. Xiaogua. He glanced at Jiang Zilin and was even more certain that he was Tangua's follower. Until now, Uni-Chen did not know Tangua's true cultivation level. The second-generation immortals were still in seclusion. The celestial emperors could not discuss this with him. They would not spread Tangua's cultivation level. You just arrived. Tangua nodded. I've heard that there are signs of people advancing into the immortal emperor realm here. It's a pity that I'm too far away, so I had to rush over. You're too late. The mysteries here have more or less dissipated. If you had come earlier, you might have been able to gain something. Is my father inside? Tanguo didn't care about what Yuni-chen said. Instead, she asked Emperor Qing. Yuni-chen said, it should be inside. The reason why he didn't go in was because he felt that those immortal emperors would definitely look down on him. He also didn't want to go in and join in the fun. Bowing and scraping in front of immortal emperors made him very uncomfortable. Even if the present was different from the past, he would still feel very uncomfortable in front of those immortal emperors. But since Tanguo was here, he had no choice but to follow her in. Let's go in then, Tanguo said. Yuni-chen did not refuse. Why hasn't the new Celestial Emperor come out yet? The Lotus Emperor asked curiously. It's been so long, shouldn't he be out by now? The Thunder Monarch also frowned. That's right. Why isn't he out yet? Could it be that he doesn't want to come out? Is he shy? Why don't we call him out? The Alchemy Emperor suggested. The Dragon Emperor cleared his throat. Congratulations to the fellow immortals inside for breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Why don't you come out now? No one replied. Tanguo heard this when she came in. She whispered to Jiang Zilin, remove that array formation. Otherwise, I'll suspect that they've been waiting here for a month. Okay. Jiang Zilin said. The array formation instantly shattered. Everyone was shocked. They all looked in that direction without blinking. They wanted to see what the ninth Celestial Emperor looked like. The Lotus Emperor and the others were all smiling. The Dragon Emperor was even more excited. He even said, luckily, we called him out. I suspect that Little Nine is asleep. The Thunder Monarch, I think Little Nine is shy. Peek. Chapter 46-79. The Immortal Emperors discussed while the other immortals stood behind obediently. However, when the array was completely destroyed and everything was revealed, the Immortal Emperors were stunned. There was no one inside. Apart from the flowers, it was as if no one had been here before. Lightning Emperor's eyes widened. He rushed in and walked 2 rounds before returning. There's no one. He ran away. What? Everyone couldn't believe that the 9th Immortal Emperor they were looking forward to had run away. Dragon Emperor said, is he shy or something? Why did he run away after breaking through? Pill Emperor shook his head. I don't know either. Do you guys know? Water Emperor and Han Emperor looked at each other. They didn't know what was going on either. They didn't have any bad intentions. Instead, they were looking forward to the 9th Immortal Emperor's appearance. Lotus Emperor walked 2 rounds but still couldn't find him. He said helplessly, there's no one here. I don't know where he ran off to. Little Nine is already an Immortal Emperor. We were caught off guard when he ran away. We really can't find him. Buddha Emperor was much calmer. He walked in and looked around. Since Little Nine isn't willing to meet us, then forget it. We'll meet when it's time. We can't do that. What else can we do? Pill Emperor was helpless. Forget it, forget it. Let's go. The Buddha Emperor is right. We'll meet sooner or later. There's no need to rush. Everyone was speechless after knowing that the 9th Immortal Emperor had run away. Tanguo walked to Lotus Emperor's side. Father. Then, she greeted the others. They all smiled and greeted her. She didn't show any reaction to everyone's discussion about her running away. It was as if she wasn't the one who ran away. She was very calm. When Lotus Emperor saw Tanguo, his disappointment disappeared. Where have you been all these years? He was at ease because Lotus Emperor gave Tangguo many life-saving methods. If she was in danger, he would be able to sense it. I was just walking around. I heard that someone had become an immortal emperor here, so I came to take a look. When she said this, Tangguo didn't feel that there was anything wrong. There was no trace of lying. Lotus Emperor, I don't know why, but the new immortal emperor left. Oh, then let's go back. I haven't seen father and mother for a long time. Emperor Qing was naturally delighted. He touched the back of Tangguo's head and also noticed Yunichen. His attitude towards Yunichen was much better than before. Yichen, do you want to go back with us or continue to train outside? In the past few years, Yunichen had performed well. He was already at the Golden Immortal Realm. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the Immortal Lord Realm. It was probably much earlier than he had expected. Disregarding everything else, just Yunichen's talent in cultivation alone was worth looking at seriously. As for his marriage with Tangguo, he did not mention it. It was better to wait and see. He always felt that Yunichen did not like his Guo that much. There was still plenty of time, so he could slowly think about it. Yunichen didn't want to go back with them. However, he felt that he had to go back this time to avoid leaving a bad impression on Lotus Emperor. Alright, let's go back together. You guys haven't gathered for a long time. Come out to train again after a while. Lotus Emperor waved his hand and Tangguo and Yunichen followed beside him. At this moment, he also noticed Jiang Zilin, who was following beside Tangguo. Peak. Chapter 4680. Of course, he knew that Tangguo had a mysterious masked person by her side. It wasn't a secret. He didn't ask further, but when he scanned Jiang Zilin, he was shocked. Why couldn't he see through this person? He was just casually scanning, but he couldn't see this person at all with his divine sense. He could only look with his eyes. Where did this person come from? The Lotus Supreme the Arch had already made up his mind to ask Tangguo about this person alone when he returned. When they went out, Tangguo purposely walked in Wei Xian's direction. Jiang Zilin had been paying attention to Wei Xian's position and told her the direction through voice transmission. Wei Xian was also walking out, but their group was even faster. The Lotus Supreme the Arch could have brought them out directly, but Tangguo said that they should walk together, and the Lotus Supreme the Arch agreed. At this moment, they had already walked out of the soul-crying forest to a safe place outside. Wei Xian and the child were already sitting in a beast carriage. Many immortals had mounts, and those who didn't would hire beast carriages to travel. Also, there were all kinds of flying Dharma treasures in the immortal world that only required immortal stones. Flying on a sword all the time consumed a lot of immortal power. The Lotus Supreme the Arch took out a flying Dharma treasure, and they all jumped on. Tangguo's gaze landed on Wei Xian. The immortal beast pulling the beast carriage under Wei Xian seemed a little different. It was completely white. Jiang Zilin also saw it and transmitted his voice to Tangguo. That immortal beast should have some divine beast bloodline, but it's rare. There are certain conditions to awaken it. Seems like Wei Xian had some fortuitous encounter. Tangguo wasn't surprised. Wei Xian's talent and providence weren't bad. It was normal for him to have a fortuitous encounter. I'm guessing that his immortal beast must be able to awaken his bloodline. Yunichen doesn't seem to have noticed her. No, I have to help. Guo, what are you looking at? The Lotus Supreme the Arch noticed his daughter's gaze and also looked in Wei Xian's direction. Nothing. I just felt that the immortal beast was very beautiful, so I couldn't help but take a few more glances. The Lotus Supreme the Arch suddenly understood. Guo, if you like it, I'll use treasures to exchange for it. Then let's go and ask if he's willing. If he's not, then forget it. The Lotus the Arch nodded. Of course. Even if he doted on his daughter, he'd never thought of seizing something that already had an owner. If he really did that, the entire immortal dimension would probably laugh at him for not teaching his daughter well. Naturally, the Lotus the Arch did not go there himself. Instead, he sent a follower to inquire. At this moment, Chen also looked over and happened to see the attendant questioning Wei Xian. Wei Xian also raised his head, and naturally, Wei Xian's appearance was seen by Chen. In that instant, Chen felt as though he had been nailed to the ground. He didn't know how to react and could only stare blankly at Wei Xian. When the attendant returned, Chen's gaze was still fixed on him. Emperor Qing did not notice this. His attention was all on Tanguo. When the attendant came back, he asked, "How is it?" "That lady doesn't want to change." Tanguo hurriedly said, "If you don't want to, then forget it. It's not something rare. Let's go back." The Lotus Supreme the Arch said, If Guo likes immortal beasts, I'll arrange for someone to find one. I guarantee it'll be better looking than that immortal beast." "No need. I suddenly don't like it that much." The Lotus Supreme the Arch did not force her. What kind of treasure did his daughter not have? Just now, he might have just felt that it was not bad. After looking at it a few more times, it was indeed very ordinary. Peak. Chapter 4681. Chen came back to his senses, but he couldn't help but look in Wei Xian's direction. Wei Xian. Was that Wei Xian? That identical face had already been buried in his dusty memories, but when he saw it, he instantly recalled that it was Wei Xian. The person who had accompanied him for many years but had been killed by his sword. Chen's gaze was so obvious that Wei Xian noticed it. Not only did Wei Xian notice it, but so did his son, Wei Ming. "Mother, do you know that person? Why is he staring at us?" Wei Ming asked. Wei Xian took a closer look at Chen. She pondered for a moment before shaking her head. "Mother doesn't know that person and I don't know why he's looking at us. Maybe he's looking at Little White and not us. The person who came to ask Little White was in that group." "Mother, I don't want to sell Little White." Wei Ming touched the immortal beast's neck. "Little White is my friend." Wei Xian smiled and patted Wei Ming's head. Why would mother sell Ming's friend? That person had offered a high price, but she had never been tempted. Wei Xian looked in Tanguo's direction. When he saw the side of Tanguo's face, he was suddenly stunned. He wanted to take a closer look, but the Lotus Supreme Thearka's flying Dharma treasure had already been activated and disappeared. Maybe I saw wrongly. Chen also retracted his gaze. Suspicion rose in his heart. That woman shouldn't be Wei Xian. She didn't know him at all. If she was Wei Xian, she should have come over to interrogate him and not see him in deep thought. Chen heaved a sigh of relief, but he couldn't help but recall the scene from before. He wanted to throw that scene to the back of his mind, but he couldn't do it. He planned to see if that person was Wei Xian or someone else when he had the time. His attention had been on Wei Xian, so he naturally didn't see the little boy beside him. When they returned home, the Lotus Supreme the Arch immediately called Tanguo Wei. "Guo, who's that beside you? Do you know his background?" The Lotus Supreme the Arch asked worriedly. He didn't know if that person had used a treasure to conceal his aura or if he was very powerful. Tanguo said, "His name is Jiang Zilin. I found him by chance. I heard that he has always been by your side. Can I trust him?" Emperor Qing was still worried. "I can't see through him. I'm afraid that he will harm you." Tangguo revealed a smile. Father, don't worry, he won't harm me. I picked him up. When the Azure the Arch heard this, he felt strange. He felt that this sentence had a different meaning. The Lotus Emperor, can you explain it clearly? What I mean is that he is a good man and can be my Taoist companion. This day would come sooner or later, so Tangguo decided to tell Emperor Qing the truth first. The Qing Emperor's eyes widened. He knew something was wrong. So this was what she meant. He stared at Tangguo, trying to figure something out. Guo, is it okay for you to do this? Although he was not satisfied with Yuni Chen, his conscience actually hurt a little when Guo was two-timing. Father, what's wrong with this? There are already many variables. Brother Chen only has eyes for cultivation, but this person can always accompany me to play. I need to consider this carefully. The Lotus Supreme the Arch said seriously, that's true. I feel that Yuni Chen doesn't care about you. Guo, you're finally awake. If you don't like Yuni Chen, then find a chance to make things clear to him. The Peak. Chapter 4682. I know. There's nothing between me and Jiang Zilin. I'm just observing him. If both of them are not suitable, then I don't want either of them. I'll find someone else that I'm satisfied with. The Lotus Emperor was no longer worried about his daughter finding a Dao partner. His daughter already understood that she had to find someone who treated her well and satisfied her. She did not want to be treated coldly. The thing that he was most dissatisfied with about Yuni Chen was that he could not see his sincerity towards Guo. Alright, do as you see fit. You're my daughter. Of course, I have to choose someone good. The Lotus Emperor thought of Jiang Zilin and said, why is Jiang Zilin wearing a mask? Bring him over to see me another day. I'll help you observe him. I haven't told him about this. There's still a barrier between us. Tangguo rejected. Let's wait and see. We'll talk about it after I've made a decision. He's rather good-looking. I won't let you see him for now. We'll talk about it after I've made a decision. I don't want others to see him and covet his looks. The Lotus Emperor's mouth twitched. He felt that the people of the immortal world were right. His daughter liked pretty boys. Yuni Chen was already good-looking enough. Jiang Zilin was covered so tightly. How good-looking would he be? The Lotus Emperor was very curious now. Tangguo thought of something important. Father, why don't I see the Mystic Emperor today? The Mystic Emperor should be in seclusion. The Lotus Emperor did not care about this. He's often in seclusion to study array formations and the way to become a sage. It's a pity that he hasn't made any progress. The Lotus Emperor could not help but sigh. Tangguo asked about the Mystic Emperor because Jiang Zilin had confirmed that the 7 immortal emperors present today were not the mastermind. This was also why she brought Jiang Zilin back. She wanted to confirm if there was anything wrong with these people. Knowing that there was nothing wrong, she heaved a sigh of relief. These immortal emperors were on good terms with her. She did not want them to be the mastermind. The Mystic Emperor did not come. That meant that the Mystic Emperor was still a suspect. The Mystic Emperor was indeed often in seclusion and rarely showed himself. I heard that the Mystic the Arch took in a successor, the Azure Supreme the Arch said. It's a pity that he went into seclusion after taking in a successor. I don't know who the lucky one is. Based on the Mystic Thearch's tone, his successor should not be simple. Guo, you have to cultivate well. If you are caught up, you will become a joke. Tangguo was silent. Catch up with her. Was he dreaming? She was already an immortal emperor. Given some time, it would be easy for her to surpass the immortal emperors of the immortal world. Got it, father. I'll go find mother. Go. On the way to find Han Ro, Tang Guo was already thinking about how to continue improving her cultivation. In short, no matter who that person was, as long as she became stronger, all the schemes would be destroyed. After catching up with Han Ro, she returned to her place. Emperor Qing told Han Ro about Jiang Zilin. After Han Ro heard about it, she didn't know what to say. Should we call that young man over and ask him? I heard from the people of the immortal world that that person has always been by Guo's side. His strength is unfathomable. Speaking of which, he is better than Yunichen. Just the fact that he is by Guo's side is better than Yunichen's. Emperor Qing said, I think so too. However, Guo said that now is not the time. They are still under observation. She also said that that person is good-looking and that we cannot let him appear for the time being unless things are settled. Han Ro was speechless. Who does Guo take after? She is not like you or me. Peek. Chapter 4683. A few days later, Yunichen went out again to greet Tang Guo, the Lotus Supreme the Arch, and his wife. Yunichen wasn't going to train this time. Instead, he was going to find Wei Xian to resolve his doubts. If he couldn't resolve his doubts, he felt that he wouldn't be able to continue cultivating. That woman had better not be Wei Xian. If she was, his Dao heart would definitely be shaken. He could only kill her again so that he could cultivate in peace. Just like in the original plot, when Yunichen found Wei Xian, he realized that she had a child with her. That child was Wei Ming. He hadn't noticed it the last time. Now that he was observing closely, he realized that Wei Ming was very similar to him when he was young. He could even feel the connection from their bloodline. He didn't even need to ask Wei Xian to know that the woman was Wei Xian. He had also heard Wei Xian's friends call her Wei Xian and the child's name was Wei Ming. Wei Xian's journey to the immortal world hadn't been smooth. She had made friends in the immortal world, but she had also made many enemies. Yunichen had been determined to kill Wei Xian recently. The people around Wei Xian were quite powerful. It wouldn't be easy for him to kill Wei Xian without anyone noticing. Especially when he saw that there were two decent men beside Wei Xian who were fawning over her, he felt very uncomfortable. If not for the fact that they were quite powerful, he would have wanted to kill them. However, those two men were also Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals. He was confident that he could kill them, but he would have to pay a huge price. He had heard that the two admirers of Wei Xian weren't simple people. If he didn't handle it properly, he would cause trouble. One of them was the young master of the Su family in Song State, Su Sai. The other was the young master of Crane Sea Island, Du Huai. If he killed them without caring about anything, the Lotus Supreme the Arch wouldn't be able to protect him. Yunichen was thinking about how to kill Wei Xian, so he followed Wei Xian's group every day. Wei Xian and Wei Ming attracted all his attention. Especially Wei Ming, who was very similar to him when he was young. This made him hesitate. Just as Yunichen couldn't make a decision, Wei Xian and Wei Ming were in danger. At that time, only Su Sai was by Wei Xian's side. It was unknown who wanted Wei Xian's life, but they were about to fall into a desperate situation. According to Yunichen's thinking, he naturally hoped that they would all die. But in the end, he didn't want them to die, so he helped them. Yunichen had saved them all, so he naturally became acquainted with Wei Xian. Yunichen had mixed feelings when he saw Wei Xian and the others looking at him with grateful expressions. Originally, he had wanted to kill her. Because of a moment of hesitation, he saved her and earned her gratitude. Yunichen did not know what to say. How could Wei Xian not remember him? That unfamiliar gaze made him uncomfortable. If young Master Yun doesn't mind, why don't I treat you to a meal? Wei Xian said, her eyes crinkling as she smiled. She was truly grateful. Although she still had a trump card, it would be gone once it was used. It was left to her by her master. She felt that it was a loss to use it to resolve today's crisis. Yuni Chen subconsciously refused, but Su Sai and Wei Ming were very enthusiastic and insisted on dragging him along. He couldn't refuse and could only follow. He realized that Wei Ming kept looking at him and felt a little nervous. When he saw Su Sai taking care of Wei Xian in every possible way, he felt a little strange. He was even a little angry, but he couldn't show it. Tang Guo knew that the two of them had met and gotten to know each other, so she decided to come out for a walk. The Peak. Chapter 4684. Currently, Wei Xian was already attracted to Su Sai. The reason why Du Huai was not by her side was because she had clearly rejected Du Huai. Du Huai had gone to recuperate. Now, they were just waiting for Wei Xian to agree to Su Sai. Yuni Chen was anxious to reveal the truth to Wei Xian, causing Wei Xian to recover his memories. My father asked you before, but he said he couldn't see through you. He thought you would harm me. At this moment, Tang Guo and Jiang Zilin had already left the family Tang and were strolling outside. She had just cultivated to the Immortal Emperor realm. Although there was no problem with her realm, she had no intention of continuing to cultivate. It took a long time for an Immortal Emperor to reach the Saint realm. Moreover, she was only at the early stage of the Immortal Emperor realm. There was no need to rush. Fortunately, the other Immortal Emperors did not notice you that day. If they realized that they couldn't see through you, they would definitely be curious about you. They might even suspect that you were the one who broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm and ran away. Jiang Zilin was confused. What do you mean? Make your cultivation lower on the surface, just like me, Tang Guo said. You should have such a secret technique, right? Jiang Zilin was enlightened. Yes. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Zilin's cultivation on the surface changed to the Immortal Monarch realm. He still looked like he had just reached the Immortal Monarch realm. Tang Guo smiled. Yes, that's it. In this way, the next time the Immortal Emperors notice you, they won't be suspicious. There are many Immortal Monarchs in the Immortal world now. It's not rare. If you follow me, no one will pay attention to you. When Yuni Chen's matter is settled, I will bring you to see my parents officially. Jiang Zilin was happy. Okay. He understood what it meant to officially meet them. He would have a legitimate identity. I will give you my sage inheritance. You can find a chance to give it to your father. Tang Guo shook her head. There's no hurry. We can talk about this later. You can give it to him when the mystic realm opens. Oh right, is my father related to the saints? Yes, Jiang Zilin said. All the famous immortal emperors in the immortal world are related to the saints. Okay, then I'll let my father enter the secret realm, Tang Guo said. Entering the secret realm should be better for his cultivation and state of mind, right? Jiang Zilin said, of course, the arcane realms that I've set up cover a lot of areas. As long as you can pass the trials, even if you don't receive the succession of the martial sacred realm, you will still benefit greatly. Then let my father go. Jiang Zilin thought about it and decided that this was a good idea. It would be better for his cultivation. As for the things he wanted to give to his future father-in-law, he had a lot of treasures. He would look for them later. In addition, when the mystic realm gave out rewards, as long as it was a level that his future father-in-law passed, he would give more rewards out of his personal treasury. Jiang Zilin's spiritual sense enveloped the entire immortal world. Only a few places were concealed by heaven's secrets and profound array formations. He couldn't see them. Most of the time, there were no problems. He would often notice Yuni-chen and tell Tanguo about what was going on over there. So far, they had been out for half a month. During this half a month, Yuni-chen, Wei Xian, and the others formed a team to train. When Yuni-chen found out that Wei Xian had ascended to the immortal world less than 10 years ago, he was very shocked by the mother and son's cultivation speed. What he was most unhappy about was that Wei Xian, who was originally as gentle as water to him, was now only treating Su Sai and was very cold to him, her husband. He didn't forget his own identity. He didn't even forget that he had to kill Wei Xian to be able to walk out of his current heart demon. Peak. Chapter 4685. Yes, Wei Xian's appearance had caused him to develop inner demons. He also knew that as long as he killed Wei Xian and Wei Ming, he should be able to break through to the Immortal Lord Realm very quickly. The Immortal Lord Realm was so tempting. However, he couldn't do it. Wei Xian and Su Sai's interactions were like a thorn in his eyes every day. The more it was like this, the more he didn't want to kill Wei Xian. He even had the thought of snatching Wei Xian back. He thought that even if he had to kill Wei Xian, he had to make her remember him again or fall in love with him before he killed her. The current Yuni-chen had fallen into a perverted state of mind. He wasn't willing to let Wei Xian forget about him. Therefore, after considering it for a while, he decided not to kill Wei Xian. Wei Xian naturally felt that Yuni-chen treated her differently. She became more and more distant from Yuni-chen. After one training session, she even proposed to break up with Yuni-chen. Su Sai naturally couldn't wait. Previously, he was very grateful to Yuni-chen. Now, he could only be wary. Yuni-chen was a rather proud person. After being rejected by Wei Xian, he couldn't continue to stay with them. However, he didn't intend to give up. Not training together didn't mean that they wouldn't meet again. Su Sai probably knew that if he didn't settle down with Wei Xian, with Wei Xian's charm, she might attract more people. Therefore, he increased his pursuit of Wei Xian. However, he didn't expect Yuni-chen to be so shameless and appear in front of Wei Xian again on the second day after they separated. When he questioned him, Wei Xian actually said that they were just going the same way and not going to train together. However, Yuni-chen's eyes were on Wei Xian. How could he not know what Wei Xian meant? Therefore, Yuni-chen and Su Sai started to fight each other out of jealousy. This made Wei Xian start to dislike Yuni-chen. She thought that this person was a bit shameless. She didn't agree, but he was still pestering her. In short, she didn't have a good impression of Yuni-chen. Yuni-chen's mood worsened when he realized that Wei Xian's attitude was cold. However, he didn't admit defeat. Instead, he became even more persistent. He didn't like to see Wei Xian treat him so coldly. He suddenly missed the gentle and understanding Wei Xian. This kind of person. Tanguo knew everything about Yuni-chen. He might not like Wei Xian that much. Jiang Zilin agreement. S is no longer in her. In her eyes. No, S in her eyes. You know so much. Tanguo was surprised. You said you were single for 10,000 years. Those who have lived long have seen many things, Jiang Zilin explained. Yuni-chen probably likes Wei Xian, but Wei Xian can't compare to him becoming an immortal. He's killed Wei Xian for who knows how many lifetimes. Wei Xian probably doesn't want such a fatal love. The two of them weren't too far away from Yuni-chen and Wei Xian. They were only a city away. Tanguo was waiting for the matter between Yuni-chen and Wei Xian to blow up. After the matter between Wei Xian and Yuni-chen blew up, she could break off her relationship with Yuni-chen openly without damaging her father's reputation. Not only that, but Yuni-chen would also bear the reputation of being a scumbag and a heartless man. As for the person behind this, she wasn't afraid of anything. She was only afraid that the other party wouldn't appear and would wait for an opportunity to act in secret. Just as Tang Guo was waiting for the matter with Wei Xian to blow up, she received a message from Ao Xian. Ao Xian, I'm out of seclusion. I'm at the Immortal Lord realm. How about we meet up when you're free? Chapter 4686. Ao Xian was the first to inform Tang Guo because he wanted to tell her that he was the second person to advance to the Immortal Monarch realm. Tang Guo agreed, all right. Then, she told Ao Xian her current location. After Ao Xian found out, he said that he would rush over in a few days and asked her to wait. Not long later, Tang Guo received another message from Lei Yu. Lei Yu, I broke through to the Immortal Monarch realm. The others shouldn't have, right? Tang Guo, yes, Ao Xian just said that he broke through too. Lei Yu, fuck, Ao Xian is one step ahead of me again. Wait, I'll be right there. One day later, Tang Guo received a message from Shui Yang, I'm in the Immortal Monarch realm now. Let's meet up. Did anyone else come out? Tang Guo, Ao Xian and Lei Yu came out a day earlier than you. Shui Yang, that's within my expectations. Ling Qin hasn't come out yet. Has Lin Chu come out? Not yet. He should be a little later. Lin Chu was a little special compared to the others. His cultivation techniques improvement meant that his alchemy skills had improved as well. Hence, he wasn't as fast as the others. Shui Yang, alright, let's meet up then. Not long later, the Immortal Emperors knew that Lei Yu, Ao Xian and Shui Yang had advanced to the Immortal Monarch realm. Because of this, the Immortal Emperors gathered together again. This time, it was the Water Emperor, Dragon Emperor and Lightning Emperor who sent messages to the others. When they arrived at the same place, everyone was surprised to find that the Mystic Emperor was here too. Seeing the Mystic Emperor, they were reminded of the new Immortal Emperor. They forgot to boast and directly told the Mystic Emperor that the new Immortal Emperor hadn't shown up yet. The Mystic Emperor frowned, he ran away after breaking through and hasn't shown up yet. Yes, he hasn't shown up yet. I don't know what happened. The Cyan Emperor didn't understand, we've already expressed our goodwill. Who doesn't want two more Immortal Emperors to come out? If he knows, he shouldn't show up. That's right, that little nine should have a very high understanding of array formations. I felt that I wouldn't be able to break the array formation that blocked us. The Pill Emperor said, if you were there that day, we might have some clues. The Mystic Thearch's expression turned serious as he said, the other party has yet to show himself. Could it be that he has some ulterior motive or that he has something to hide? As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned. What purpose could he have? You guys are talking about the heaven and earth anomaly. Could it be that this person has the legacy of becoming a saint and is thus afraid that we are plotting against him? Once the Mystic Thearch said this, everyone started to speculate. That's right, if the new Immortal Emperor really had this, it was possible for him to escape on his own. To be honest, after hearing about the inheritance of becoming a saint, there was not a single person here who was not tempted. At this moment, they could also understand. If that's the case, it's possible. Pill Emperor said, if that's the case, unless the other party becomes a saint, it's impossible for them to show themselves. Water Emperor shook her head, I can understand. If I got this, I would also want to hide and train. After saying that, she laughed, if you and I are like this, the others will naturally think the same. The Buddha Thearch said, now that things have come to this, if the other party wants to hide, we won't be able to find them. Why don't we just wait? When the other party becomes a saint, perhaps he will show himself. At that time, we will go and ask for guidance. Previously, when I went to that place, it was a peaceful scene. That's enough to prove that he isn't a scoundrel. He didn't show himself because he was worried about his own safety. When the other party becomes a saint, it might be our chance. Peek. Chapter 4687. The Buddha the Arch was rather open-minded. Everyone else, after being pointed out like this, felt their uneasiness disappear. That's right. Anyone who met such a person would hide. Who would take it out? There were so many immortal emperors here. It would be strange if the other party was not afraid. Let's not offend this person. It's all fate. The Buddha the Arch advised. Don't be too concerned. It's not good for your cultivation. Everyone agreed. They agreed with the Buddha the Arch. The mystic the Arch saw everyone's reaction and did not say anything more. Instead, he asked, "That's right. Why did you call me out for this gathering? It can't be just for this, right?" His gaze landed on the Water the Arch, the Dragon the Arch, and the Thunder the Arch. He had received messages from the three of them. At the mention of this, the Water the Arch and the other two were all smiles. They talked about how their sons and daughters had broken through to the Immortal Lord realm. The Mystic the Arch was enlightened. I see. Congratulations to all of you then. Next, it was time for the Water the Arch and the other two to boast about their sons and daughters. The other immortal emperors snorted for a while and then dispersed. At this moment, Tang Gua, Lei Yu, Ao Xian, and Shui Yang met in a restaurant in the city. The three people in front of Tang Gua are all smiling, and their tone seems to be much tougher than before. Hearing them boast, Tang Gua smiled but did not say anything. The three of them boasted for a long time. When they saw how calm Tang Gua was, their smugness disappeared. They felt that there was no sense of accomplishment. That's right. Why would they be so foolish as to boast in front of Tang Gua? Weren't they looking for trouble? She had been in seclusion for 20 years and became an immortal Lord Realm Great Luo. What about them? They had been in seclusion for 100 years. The complacent smiles on the trio's faces suddenly disappeared, replaced by sadness. Soon, they were no longer sad. Their attention landed on Jiang Zilin. Shui Yang said, "Tang Gua, you haven't changed your partner this time." "That's right. The one beside you is still the same one." Lei Yu smiled. Ao Xian looked at Jiang Zilin and even patted his shoulder. "Brother Jiang, you are so infatuated. How did Tang Gua coax you to let her hug you?" "Jiang Zilin, there's no one around, just him." Tang Gua's face darkened. These people were really restless. She then formed a seal and set up a soundproof array. Seeing her actions, they were a little puzzled. "Do you think that you are very powerful just because you have reached the high immortal realm?" The three of them hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Of course. Even if I'm not as strong as you, I'm still stronger than most people in the immortal world." "Then do you know what realm I am at?" Shui Yang asked. Could it be that he's already at the middle stage of the immortal monarch realm? Could it be the late stage? Lei Yu asked in shock. Ao Xian replied, "In any case, it's impossible for you to be an immortal emperor. That's normal. With your talent, I don't think it'll be a problem for you to reach the late-stage immortal monarch realm in 100 years. Sorry, I'm really in the immortal emperor realm. The immortal emperor who ran away last time was me." The smiles on Shui Yang, Ao Xian, and Lei Yu's faces stiffened as they stared at Tang Gua in bewilderment. Their bodies almost split apart. "You're just bragging, right?" The three of them said in unison, "You must be lying to us. You don't have to brag so much just to attack us." Tang Gua said, "Do you think I'll lie to you? If it wasn't for this, would the new immortal emperor run away after breaking through?" The three of them fell silent. That's right. Tangwa didn't have to brag so much just to make them envious. They were already envious of her. This kind of thing was easily exposed. There was no need for her to lie. Peek. Chapter 4688. The three of them looked at Tangwa and scolded, "Pervert." Shueyang said, "I don't think I need a friend like you. I think knowing you is the biggest mistake in my life." Lei Yu hammered his head. This fellow was too scary. Ao Xian said, "I am a divine dragon, but I am being suppressed by you. The heavens are so unfair. If you don't have enough talent, you have to work hard to make up for it." Tangwa smiled. "Help me keep this a secret. I have a huge plan. Do you want to do it together?" The three of them quickly calmed down and asked with interest, "What plan?" "Secretly cultivate to immortal emperor and shock everyone." As soon as Tangwa's words came out, the three of them were stunned. After thinking about it for a while, they felt that it was a very beautiful sentence. They were the second generation of immortals and didn't suffer much. They were born with glory. But at the same time, along with glory came the gazes of all kinds of people and the encouragement of their fathers. Being suppressed from above, no matter how glorious he was, he could only suffer a blow. They were a little envious of Tangwa. She was the 9th immortal emperor of the celestial world. As long as this matter was exposed, she would be on the same level as the 8 immortal emperors. Lei Yu said, "Actually, I wanted to, but cultivating to immortal emperor isn't something that can be done in a short time." "That's right. If I could secretly cultivate to the immortal emperor realm and shock everyone in the end, I would be willing to go into seclusion for another 200 years, Ao Xian said seriously. "It's a pity that there's an insurmountable gap between the immortal monarch realm and the immortal emperor realm." Shueyang said, "Yes, not to mention 200 years, 300 years, 500 years, or even a few thousand years, you might not be able to reach immortal emperor realm." The corners of Tangwa's lips curled up. "What if I have the insights of countless immortal emperors, including my own insights?" Tangwa didn't look at the insights of immortal emperors. She relied on her own insights to break through. If she looked at those insights, she might not need 100 years. She would only need a few decades to break through. She didn't look because she was counting the time Wei Xian would take to go to the celestial world. She planned to cultivate slowly. Not long ago, her heart suddenly skipped a beat as she felt an instinctive sense of danger. This kind of thing was very mysterious. Regarding this sense of danger, she was not sure if the other party was targeting her or the people in front of her. The reason for that was because this sense of danger was revolving around them. It was not that someone wanted to harm them had appeared. Instead, it was that someone had the intention to harm them, and she had sensed it in advance. Previously, Jiang Zilin had said that the phenomenon of her breaking through to the immortal emperor realm was very special. It might be even more powerful than the average immortal emperor. At that time, her chances of becoming a saint would be even higher. Even if she did not look at the inheritance of becoming a saint in his hands, she would be able to comprehend it herself. These people had always been the targets of their schemes. As long as the mastermind and Yuni Chen existed, they would be in danger. Since that was the case, she planned to persuade these people to go back and cultivate. "If I have so many insights, the time it would take for me to break through to the immortal emperor stage would be greatly reduced." Lei Yu was the first to express his opinion. Then, he looked at Tangguo with anticipation. "Do you have any?" The other two stared at her as well, as if asking, "Do you have one?" Was he really going to take it out? If there really was one, they would naturally be willing to go into seclusion to comprehend it. This was a great opportunity. "I have one," Tangguo replied. "Not only do I have one, but I can also provide a place for you to cultivate. When the time comes, I will protect you all and break through to the Immortal Emperor stage. Like me, you can run away after breaking through. They won't be able to catch you. Peek. Chapter 4689. Aocn laughed out loud. Sure, as long as you have it, I'll do it. I'll join too. Lei Yu said, then I'll let that arrogant old man of mine see it. I'll secretly cultivate to the Immortal Emperor realm and make his eyeballs fall to the ground before fighting with him. Aocn said, I want to beat my old man up too. He always wears shiny clothes and wears all sorts of shiny things on his body. He's asking for a beating. Jiang Zilin quietly watched as the three of them were tricked by Tanggua to continue cultivating. He was still a little confused. He felt that this was just a temporary idea of hers. However, he didn't ask about it for now as he planned to send the three of them away first. The insights that Tanggua mentioned about advancing to the Immortal Emperor realm were actually given to her by him. Later on, he found out that she didn't look at it at first. She also mentioned to him that she wanted to give it to her friends and he didn't mind at all. If a few more Immortal Emperors appeared, the chances of someone obtaining the sage inheritance in the mystic realm he set up would be higher. The immortal world had declined for many years and it was time for new sages to appear to help spread the teachings of those old men. Those old men used to dream of finding other sacred grounds but they couldn't do it anymore. They could only rely on these juniors. With Jiang Zilin's help, the few of them instantly appeared in the desolate sea. Before they could be shocked at Jiang Zilin's strength, they were pushed by Tanggua to the place where she was in seclusion. Jiang Zilin set up an array here and only Jiang Zilin could break it. With Tanggua's strength, she wouldn't be able to break it unless she became a sage. The three of them had many questions to ask Tanggua. They weren't fools and felt that things weren't simple. Also, who was this Jiang Zilin to be able to teleport so far in the immortal world? However, Tanggua didn't give them a chance. After tricking them into the array, she gave them a bunch of insights to advance to the Immortal Emperor realm. Then, Jiang Zilin reactivated the array. Cultivate well. When you're about to break through to the Immortal Emperor realm, I'll come back to protect you guys. Tanggua smiled at them. Then, Jiang Zilin brought her back to the tea house. In the blink of an eye, Shui Yang and the other two looked at each other and didn't know how to express themselves. Damn, it's really insights to advance to the Immortal Emperor realm. Aocn took a look at the jade slip that Tanggua gave them. This. Aotian sounds familiar. Isn't this the name of my dragon race's divine ancestor? Was this the enlightenment of the dragon race's divine ancestor when he became an immortal emperor? Don't just stand there. The three of them got busy and soon, Lei Yu said excitedly, Lei Kuei is the name of my Lei clan's sacred ancestor. Is this really the enlightenment my sacred ancestor had when he advanced to the immortal emperor stage? Why would such a thing appear? The three of them then flipped through the other pages. There were many names that they had heard of before, and they were shocked. Let's not talk about Tanggua's intentions. But we can be sure that she wants to give these things to us. Lei Yu said. She even locked us here. Maybe she really wants us to break through to the immortal emperor realm. Chapter 4690. Could it be that something big is about to happen? Aocien's expression turned ugly. Have you noticed that ever since last time, Tanggua has been cultivating wholeheartedly? She's already at the immortal emperor realm. If nothing big happened, why would she urge us to cultivate? Shui Yang gritted her teeth. If something big really happened, our immortal monarch realm wouldn't be enough. So, let's cultivate. This kind of opportunity is hard to come by. There are probably very few people who can break the surrounding array. Tanghua has already created the conditions for us. There's no reason for us not to cultivate. What she left for us are not only the cultivation experiences of our ancestors, but also those of other seniors. If we can't break through to the Immortal Emperor realm within 200 years, then we're too stupid. Shuai-yang is right. Although this is the desolate sea, the immortal qi in the array is dense. It can be considered a cultivation holy land. Ao Xian said. Then let's cultivate. If there's anything we don't understand, we can discuss it together. On the other side, Jiang Zilin was already asking Tanghua why she suddenly decided to lock them in to cultivate. Not long ago, I felt a sense of danger surrounding us. Jiang Zilin's expression changed slightly. I didn't notice it. It's not killing intent. It's a sense of danger. It's like someone wants to harm us but hasn't done anything yet. Tanghua explained. If it's killing intent, you should be able to sense it. Jiang Zilin was enlightened. This should be your talent. You can predict danger in advance. Is the danger surrounding you? Now that they're at the Immortal Monarch realm, they'll definitely be proud. Who knows, they might even wander around the immortal world. If the person behind them really wants to kill them, it'll only be a matter of seconds. You won't be able to save them. Why don't you throw them in to cultivate? It'll save you some trouble and you can also prepare to open the secret realm in the future. Jiang Zilin laughed. That's good too. Are you going to trick the remaining 3 like this too? Tanghua replied, of course. Let them go together. We all know each other and can take care of each other. Not long later, Ming Xiao came out. He first told Tanghua about his breakthrough. Tanghua called him over and tricked him. She said that to go to that place, she could give him a treasure related to Buddhism. Ming Xiao fell for it and was sent into the formation. He was stunned when he saw Shuai-yang and the other 2. When he received the Buddhist saint's insights, he obediently sat at the side and began to comprehend it, not raising any doubts at all. The enlightenment of the sacred ancestor was extremely valuable, and he didn't want to waste any time. Shuai-yang muttered, it seems that the remaining people can't avoid being brought in. Ming Xiao is quite willing. You're not either. Ao Xian asked with a smile. Shuai-yang rolled her eyes speechlessly. In the end, she silently comprehended it. A few days later, Lin Chu and Ling Qin appeared one after another. After meeting with Tanghua, they were also thrown here. When the 2 of them saw the enlightenment of their saint ancestor, they were willing to cultivate as well. At this point, Tanghua was able to get her important friends into the array formation to cultivate. She was finally able to feel at ease. The danger that surrounded them did not dissipate. Instead, it grew even more intense. On this day, Tanghua and Jiang Zilin rode on a flying magic treasure and rushed to the next place. Previously, in order to send those people in to cultivate, she delayed for a few days and didn't manage to catch up with Yunichen. As soon as she finished her business, she planned to follow them to see how Wei Xian and Yunichen were doing. According to Jiang Zilin, Su Sai should be about to confess her feelings to Wei Xian. Peak. Chapter 4691. When the time came, Yunichen might not be able to accept it and would definitely make a move on Su Sai. What Tanghua didn't know was that Yunichen was meeting someone. I heard that you have been following a lady recently. Yunichen replied respectfully, yes. He didn't know why, but he couldn't lie to his master. If Tanghua was here, she would recognize that Yunichen's master was the mystic Tharch. The mystic Tharch sighed. If you don't make a decision, you will be in trouble. Yichen, you have already developed an inner demon. You have to get rid of it as soon as possible. Yichen knows. Although Yunichen said that, he didn't want to kill Wei Xian immediately. Master, please give Yichen some time. The mystic the arch seemed to be very assured of Yunichen. I believe in you. He came over to remind Yunichen. If Yunichen still couldn't forget Wei Xian and still wanted to cling on to that relationship, it was more or less useless. However, he couldn't help Yunichen kill Wei Xian. Not only would he not be able to get rid of the inner demon, but it would also make Yunichen's inner demon stronger. Yunichen sent the mystic the arch away and felt very conflicted. I went to check on Yunichen's movements just now, but I suddenly couldn't find him, Jiang Zilin said. There should be some powerful Dharma treasure that blocked my divine senses. A Dharma treasure that can block a saint's divine senses. This Dharma treasure's grade should surpass an immortal artifact. Tanggua suddenly moved closer to Jiang Zilin. It's here. That kind of danger was here, and it was accompanied by killing intent. Was it coming for her? Jiang Zilin stopped talking and looked serious. He now felt that Tanggua's suggestion was really good. If someone attacked them and he couldn't see through their cultivation, the other party might give up. On the surface, Zhang Xian looked like he was only at the high immortal realm. If the other party was at the high immortal realm or above, they would not hesitate to make a move against him. Just as he thought about it, Jiang Zilin felt an overwhelming pressure, as though it was going to crush the both of them. At the same time, the surrounding space was locked down. The immortal qi that filled the air slowly stopped flowing. Of course, this bit of pressure posed no threat to Jiang Zilin at all. In order to prevent the other party from being frightened, he pretended that he couldn't take it anymore and retreated with Tanggua. This pressure was somewhat threatening to Tanggua, but it was not that she could not resist it. However, on the surface, she was only at the immortal monarch realm, so her face was a little pale. System, no wonder these two are a pair. Both of them are such dogs. It's so pitiful to be their enemy. This skill of playing the pig to eat the tiger was not something that many people could compare to. At this time, the space around Tanggua had been completely locked down. If she and Jiang Zilin were really only in the immortal monarch realm, then today, only death would await them. No one would be able to save them. Who is it? Tanggua asked. At this time, she and Jiang Zilin had already been suppressed to the ground. The flying treasure couldn't fly at all. There were even cracks on it. It was clear how powerful the other party was. She also bit the tip of her tongue at an appropriate time, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. It looked even more realistic. System, heavens, great host, you're too much of a dog. Are you always so serious when you're acting? That person really didn't die unjustly. That person was so pitiful. When Tanggua finished saying everyone, the other party once again released an overwhelming pressure. This time, Tanggua and Jiang Zilin were pressed to the ground. The system looked at the two of them in an incomparably sorry state and didn't know what to say. It was speechless. What a scam. Peak. Chapter 4692. There was no communication between them, but they cooperated so well. Was this the legendary cheating couple? That person might have confirmed that Tanggua and Jiang Zilin could no longer resist and finally revealed himself. It's you. When Tanggua saw the mystic the arch appear, she was slightly stunned. However, on the surface, she acted as if she was in disbelief. Actually, she had suspected the mystic the arch. Hence, when the mystic the arch appeared, she was only stunned for a moment and was not too surprised. The mystic the arch just stood there as if he was one with heaven and man. He looked at Tanggua with pity in his eyes. It's me. I didn't want to kill you at first. It's a pity that I can't find the others for now. I can only kill you first before killing the others. The mystic the Arch said calmly. If you want to blame someone, blame that immortal emperor who escaped. He obviously had the inheritance to become a sage, but he hid himself. If I don't kill you, how can I get the others to help me find the ninth immortal emperor? Tang Guo understood now. This person wanted to kill them and push the blame to the ninth immortal emperor. As long as he did it cleanly, the others would find the ninth immortal emperor even if they did not have evidence to prove that the ninth immortal emperor killed them. Given the mystic Thearcha's ability, it would be very difficult to find the ninth immortal emperor. From what he said, it was possible that the others did not want to find the ninth immortal emperor and felt that it was better to let nature take its course. Given Tang Guo's understanding of the other immortal emperors, this might be the case. Even if many people were tempted at first, the Buddha the Arch would be able to persuade them back. If the others, including her father, guessed that the new immortal emperor had the inheritance to become a sage, they would be tempted and might even look for the ninth immortal emperor. However, the Buddha the Arch would definitely persuade them back. If you kill me, my father will not let you off. Tang Guo pretended to be very nervous as she continued to retreat. The mystic the Arch thought that he had everything under control and had locked down the surrounding space. He even used a treasure to hide the heavenly secrets here. No one would discover that he was killing people. Hence, he was not afraid at all. The space was already locked down. The two immortal lords in front of him were just small immortal lords. He could easily kill them. His expression was still calm. I will do it cleanly. The Azure the Arch will not find out. Not only will I do it cleanly, but I will also make you disappear completely. They will only suspect the ninth immortal emperor. Even if they aren't sure, they will still find him. The mystic the Arch was not too concerned about Yunichen's progress because the ninth immortal emperor might have the inheritance to become a sage. If he could obtain the inheritance of becoming a saint, Yunichen's fate would be to be fused with him. What a pity. They all say that you have the highest chance of becoming a saint. I can't wait that long. The mystic Thearcha's eyes turned cold. His lifespan was shorter than the other immortal emperors, and his talent was not considered good. He had used many unorthodox methods to cultivate to the immortal emperor realm. If he could not obtain the orthodox inheritance of becoming a saint, he would have to stop here. Back then, he had discovered the traces left behind by the sage. For this reason, he had studied the array formation diligently. Unfortunately, the array formation set up by the sage was very powerful. Not only was he unable to break the array formation, but he was also severely injured by the rebound. Until now, his injuries had not fully recovered. It was only because he had a concealment magic treasure on him that he was not discovered by others. Later on, he schemed against the saint's remnant soul to be born. Yes, he believed that the saint's remnant soul must be inside the array formation. However, no matter what he did, he still failed. Vertex. Chapter 4693. Occasionally, he would go back to check on that place. The array formation was still very stable. With his current understanding of array formations, it was impossible to break it. Hence, he could only think of other ways. As long as he cultivated to the sage realm, he might be able to break that array formation and obtain the huge treasures left behind by the sage. The appearance of the ninth immortal emperor gave him hope. Unfortunately, those people did not even want to look for him. They even said that they would let nature take its course. From his point of view, he might as well capture him and force him to reveal the inheritance of becoming a sage. That way, all 8 of them would benefit. Wouldn't that be good? He had no choice but to use this method. Only by angering them would they act to find him. With 8 immortal emperors working together, even an immortal emperor would not be able to hide so easily. They would definitely be able to find him. Furthermore, he did not dare to look for him alone. It would be easy for him to be exposed and cause the others to be unhappy. After thinking about it, this was the safest method. These people were really powerful. They were indeed descendants of sages. They could actually escape from his previous plan. Yuni Chen did not have an easy time in their hands. Not only that, they had all advanced to the Immortal Lord realm. This made him nervous. In time, they would all become immortal emperors. If he did not become a sage, his lifespan would be exhausted. The mystic the Arch walked towards Tanguo. He was not afraid that Tanguo would take out any treasures. Because of his soul spirit suppression, Tanguo could not use her divine senses. She could not take out the treasures that the Azure Supreme the Arch gave her. She could not even take out her life treasure. This was the suppression of strength. No one could escape from the people he wanted to kill. Seeing the mystic the Arch walk step by step towards her, Tanguo panicked. In fact, she had already grabbed Jiang Zilin's arm. At this moment, Jiang Zilin's voice rang in her ears. The space has been completely sealed. This time, he will not be able to escape. In the past, he could not do anything to the mystic the Arch because he left a backup plan in the immortal world. In addition, he was restricted by the array formation and strength. He could not catch him. This time, it was different. He had already sealed the space. The mystic the Arch even helped to shield him from the heavens. It was very convenient. When Tanguo heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. She was not afraid of the mystic the Arch. She was only afraid that the mystic the Arch would run away. If he ran away this time, she would not be able to catch him in the future. He was still a potential threat. She had already thought of how she was going to deal with the mystic the Arch. She was going to throw him into the Soul Stone, where he would be unable to live or die. It would be impossible for him to reincarnate. All her backup plans would be useless. Just as the mystic the Arch was about to make a move, he suddenly realized that Tanguo and Jiang Zilin had stood up. He frowned and wondered if Tanguo had some trump cards. At this moment, Tanguo and Jiang Zilin released their cultivation. Did anyone tell you that I'm the 9th Immortal Emperor? I'm sorry, but I don't have the inheritance to become a saint. However, I do have a living saint. Tanguo's words shocked the mystic the Arch. When Tanguo released her cultivation, he immediately dispelled the idea of killing Tanguo. Immortal monarchs could be easily killed, but immortal emperors couldn't be killed. He immediately removed the sealed space and turned to escape. However, he realized that he could not escape at all. Outside the sealed space, the space was still sealed. His gaze landed on Jiang Zilin. Was it him? You're not the successor of a profound sage, right? Jiang Zilin said. You don't have the aura of a profound sage on you. The successor of a sage, regardless of whether they were related by blood, as long as they were a successor, their cultivation technique would definitely be related to the sage. Peak. Chapter 4694. This time, Jiang Zilin carefully sensed that there was no aura of a profound sage on the mystic emperor's body. Even the cultivation technique he practiced was not orthodox. The mystic emperor did not answer. Instead, he looked somewhat flustered and was preparing to escape. Jiang Zilin said, "Don't waste your energy. You can't escape from me. If I'm not wrong, you don't have much lifespan left. No wonder you're so impatient. This means that you should be someone who existed during the Sage era. You harmed the successor of a profound sage and replaced his identity, didn't you? Unfortunately, you didn't get the cultivation technique of a profound sage. The mystic emperor's expression changed greatly. Jiang Zilin continued, since you were a sage, do you know my name? Jiang Zilin said. My name is Jiang Zilin. The mystic emperor was stunned at first, and then his face turned pale. Jiang Zilin. The last sage. Jiang Zilin, the last person to become a sage. He was a heaven-sent genius who was pitied by countless people. However, why was he still here? Didn't all the sages fall during the great calamity of the world? It's me. I'm not dead, Jiang Zilin said. It should be said that we met down there. I've been paying attention to you for a long time. If my power hadn't been restricted at that time, you would have died long ago. The mystic emperor clenched his teeth and planned to use a secret technique to break through the space here. However, in the next moment, he spat out blood and didn't move even half a step. He couldn't help but show fear on his face. Was this the power of a sage? He hadn't felt the existence of a sage for a long time. It should be said that he had never felt the power of a sage. During the sage era, he was a nobody. Jiang Zilin was right, he wasn't a descendant of a profound sage. During the great calamity of the world, all the sages fell, and countless experts were seriously injured. The successors of many families and sects died, and those who stayed behind paid a certain price. At that time, the only successor of a profound sage left was a little boy from the 7th generation. That little boy was seriously injured, and he took the opportunity to kill him and obtain the profound sage's token. Without a profound sage cultivation technique, he could only scrape together some. Fortunately, because he was a sage successor of a profound sage, he didn't lack resources. However, his talent was not good, so he could only use unorthodox methods to improve his cultivation. Now, he was already at his limit. If he still did not find a way to become a saint, he would really disappear from this world. After you harmed profound sage, today, I will take revenge for him. The profound sage's lineage will not decline. Jiang Zilin was feeling rather fortunate now. Those few old men had insisted that he stay behind to look at the inheritance. If not, ordinary people would not be able to deal with someone like the mystic Arch. No, you can't kill me. The mystic emperor shouted. He still wanted to escape. However, how could a puny immortal emperor like him withstand the pressure of a sage? Jiang Zilin only needed to suppress him with the power of laws to make him bleed all over. Do you want to use him for practice? Jiang Zilin suddenly told Tanguo that he felt that the mystic Arch was a very useful whetstone. The mystic Thearch's expression was pained, and his heart was filled with anger. It was obvious that he felt humiliated. Tanguo refused. Let's settle this quickly. I don't need to practice. The celestial realm was more peaceful than she had imagined. Moreover, she had a lot of combat experience. It was better to deal with this fellow as soon as possible to avoid any trouble. Jiang Zilin nodded. All right. Put him here. Tanguo took out a soul stone. In case he uses any tricks, no one can break this thing. Jiang Zilin instantly walked in front of the mystic Thearch and slapped his head. The mystic Thearch's body disappeared. Peak. Chapter 4695. The mystic Thearch's soul wanted to escape, but Jiang Zilin caught it and sealed it with a spell. This guy would disturb him every lifetime and was very annoying. He had long wanted to deal with him. The mystic Thearch screamed miserably, but Jiang Zilin ignored him. He grabbed him and moved him in front of Tanguo. Tanguo opened the soul stone. The mystic Thearch screamed, no, as Jiang Zilin pushed him into the soul stone. The mystic Thearch, who had fallen into the soul stone, cursed loudly. His voice was filled with despair. Why is the soul stone in your hands? The mystic Tharch, who was already in the soul stone, suddenly stopped screaming. His confused voice came out. Tangwa said, I got it in the desolate sea. That mystic realm filled with killing intent. Was it your doing? So the person who ruined my plan was you? The mystic Tharch said in shock. Tangwa said, not only did I ruin your plan, but I also know Yunichen's identity. It's a pity that you were in the soul stone and couldn't contact him. Now, you are you, and Yunichen is Yunichen. However, you don't have to worry. I am a merciful person. I will help you. Not long after, Yunichen will come in. At that time, it will be up to you two to fuse with each other. I curse you. Before the mystic Tharch could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Tangwa. You should know the function of the soul stone. Any curse will not work in the soul stone. People who enter the soul stone will not be alive, dead, or reincarnated. I hate it. What do you hate? You are just a person who stole other people's opportunities. You should have died long ago. You almost destroyed the profound sage's inheritance. Tangwa sneered. She also didn't expect that the biggest threat would be dealt with just like that. Now, she just had to wait for Yunichen. She held the soul stone in her hand and started to create an illusion for the mystic Tharch. The mystic Tharch wanted to become a sage, so she created an illusion where he failed every time. After Jiang Zilin saw it, he praised, well done. It's better than killing him directly. The profound sage doesn't have a successor now. Jiang Zilin was somewhat sad. Tangwa consoled him. Isn't the inheritance in your hands? The immortal world is full of talents, and there will always be a suitable person to help the profound sage carry forward his inheritance. That's true. Jiang Zilin's mood became better. Then let's go find Yunichen. That's right. About the mystic Tharch, should we tell your father and the others? Jiang Zilin asked. Tangwa muttered, I think not. Let's talk about it in the future. If the mystic Tharch doesn't appear, it won't affect the celestial realm. If he told them, it would inevitably implicate many things. For example, the inheritance of becoming a saint will be troublesome. All right. Yunichen felt uneasy today. Ever since his master, the mystic Tharch, left, he had this feeling. He didn't even have the thought of looking for Wei Xian. He couldn't guess what was going on. He only thought that Wei Xian's existence had created a mental demon in him. Otherwise, why would he have such a feeling after his master's reminder? Because of this, he didn't look for Wei Xian for a long time. When he heard news of Wei Xian again, it was the news that Wei Xian and Su Sai were preparing to become Dao companions. Although Wei Xian had a child, her abilities were obvious to all. The Su family had agreed. Currently, Wei Xian had followed Su Sai to the Tsang prefecture to prepare for their Dao companion ceremony. Wei Ming didn't object to this at all. Instead, he was very supportive. However, that Yunichen really annoyed him. He didn't appear recently, and this made him heave a sigh of relief. He hoped that he wouldn't come and destroy his mother's happy life. Peek, you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.